18th meeting of the Norton Planning Board. The public is welcome to participate in person or remotely. We're in person tonight at the Norton Town Hall at 72 East Main Street in the Crane Room. You may also join online via the Zoom app listed in the agenda. And please feel free to email any questions before the meeting to town staff as listed in the agenda. I will call this meeting to order. We have 5 members in person, 6 members in person.
7, I think.
No.
No, not yet. Okay.
6 members in person. As far as planning board business and policies, we'll discuss a few things at the end of the meeting. Bills, Brian, do you want to have anything else you would like to pass down?
I just have WB Mason if you wanted me to pass that down.
Sure, you might as well pass it down. And we can talk about minutes that I think we're all caught up on at the end. First item on our agenda is A&R 20 for 207 South Worcester Street. The owner is Benjamin Priest. The applicant is Craig Siganowski. How are you doing tonight, Craig?
Good evening, Craig Siganowski of RIM Engineering. As you said, Benjamin Priest, he bought number 207 South Worcester Street a few months ago and is in the process of upgrading his septic system when he decided to buy the house at 205. So these lots are on South Worcester at the railroad, the southerly side of the railroad. So typically when we come before you with an A&R, we're looking to divide the lot into multiple parcels. In this case, we're taking 2 small lots and combining them into one. One lot has 20 feet of frontage, the other has 55. And when combined, they have a total of 12,237 square feet. So they are in the village commercial zone. They do not conform to the zoning, but we are making a non-conforming situation a little bit less non-conforming. There are 2 existing primary houses, which is not allowed on one lot, so he will remove a portion of house 205, which is the lot closest to the railroad, the rear portion, which was added maybe 10, 15 years ago. And he's going to keep the front part of the foundation and convert that to a 2-car garage. So in the end, it will be one lot with a primary house and a accessory detached garage. If there are any questions.
Question right off the bat is the frontage situation. We got 75.16 on the plan and 120 in village commercial required.
Great. So it's pre-existing non-conforming. We can't increase. We are increasing the non-conformance because one lot had its 20 feet of frontage. If the lots were left as they are, we have 20 feet of frontage at house number 205, 55 at number 207.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not making a conforming lot, but we're making it less non-conforming.
Kind of. Tim?
Just to confirm, is this the property that's had the unfinished foundation for years?
Yeah,
Okay.
years ago, we worked on 205 trying to put a septic system. It did not work on that property. The owner stayed there. He just left the foundation unfinished.
This one's got a funny little thing out front. It used to be a tiny sewing shop once a long time ago. Reddish shed.
I think so, but I'm not positive about that. It's right against the railroad.
Okay.
The existing 207 was built in 1900. I'm not sure about 205.
That the
Whatever reason, the field guard doesn't show anything.
that foundation that's in place, was there permits pulled for that? Is there, it's very close to the setback, obviously. Is there variances in place or what's the?
Again, I don't know the history of that particular lot. Again, he is removing the main portion of the house.
I don't know, I'm just not comfortable. I've never seen this before. We've never had this situation before. I'm not comfortable without some more guidance. Or without having a variance in place. It's kind of a awkward situation. Paul, you want to chime in at all?
Well, one thing, I was looking at the A&R guidebook, and one of the things you do with an A&R is determine, is this a subdivision plan? And a subdivision plan by state law and by our bylaw is the creation of 2 or more lots. In this case, he's actually merging from 2 to 1. So I don't even know that this would even be considered under it wouldn't be considered under a subdivision. But it is highly unusual to have a combining of lots like this.
So I don't know what other members of the board is feeling. I would like some clarification from town council on this because I'm not comfortable with it. at all. I don't know, Tim?
Has, Paul, has Ed Bailey weighed on this in terms of what permits are out there or not, or?
No, he
Okay.
has not.
But he did, but I mean, whenever, if anything happened, he would be the one covering up that paper trail.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the applicant would have the burden at that point.
Correct. I'm
Meet all those things.
just going
so,
back to our basic two things that we look at A&Rs. I'm not
Yeah.
comfortable approving this if we're supposed to have 120 feet of frontage and we still only have 75. I don't understand. Maybe we can.
It's not worse. That's, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not worse, but is that in our purview? I don't know.
I don't know if is it in our purview to make sure that it's got enough frontage to be buildable? We only have to concentrate on making a lot.
That has the
it's-
correct amount of frontage.
Do we have to ensure that it's got the right amount of frontage, or do they have to have the right amount of frontage
That's
to
what
build, to
But
build
that's
on?
typically
That's what
when
an
you're-
A&R is. Yeah.
So Chair, that's typically when you're creating a new lot. This is not that. It's a merger of two.
I think
Again, I'm the one not comfortable with it. Everybody else is. I'm fine with that, but.
I think my position on this would be by making this an A&R, we are saying that this is a lot. We're not saying it's buildable, but we're saying that this is a lot in this zone. I'm thinking about the properties up by by Winslow Farms that we looked at a few years ago. When we make the A&R, we're essentially endorsing it as like a potential plan for the frontage. We're saying that the frontage exists. In this case, the frontage is right on the road, so we don't have the issue we had the last time where it was behind a guardrail.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
Right. And this could still fall under the purview of ZBA. You know, we even have the language here to say that this is not, we say that the above endorsement is not a determination as to conformance with zoning and other local regulations.
Any other board members have any feelings? Comfortable voting on it as is or want more information?
In my opinion, because they are improving the situation, even though they aren't making it compliant, I personally, I'm feeling okay with that as long as, I think what you're worried about is we wouldn't get in trouble for approving something.
Not in trouble. It's just not something standard that I think we've seen.
I think this is just a situation where two things that are wrong could be made into one thing that's less wrong.
Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it.
That's kind of where I land on that, is kind of taking two pieces of land, kind of making it a little more whole by putting them together. I think that makes sense, even though it doesn't quite fit the frontage that we would normally look for. But, you know, that's how I feel about it.
and I think I'd feel the same way. 'Cause I mean, the burden's going to be on them to show, if they're trying to use that foundation, that they're going to have to show the building commissioner that there are permits for it and that it all jives. And if they don't want to use it, then they knock it down and pour new concrete. And everything else that's going on that site, given, yeah.
Long history.
Yeah.
So I'm out on an island. The chair would entertain a motion if everyone so wishes.
Motion to endorse A&R to A&R 20.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to endorse A&R 20. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Thank you.
4-1.
Brian, do we have these on the back table? Is that what I saw when I walked in?
Yes.
Okay.
Second item on the agenda, special permit 31 for 10 Robertson Lane. The owner is Midstate Enterprises LLC. The applicant is Risser Engineering Company LLC. The applicant is seeking to construct a duplex.
Good evening, Tyler LaFrenia, Risser Engineering Company, 93 George Levin Drive.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. What was it?
Tyler LaFrenia.
Tyler?
The plan we have tonight is for a special permit in the BC zone for a duplex. As it is right now, there's an existing garage, paved parking area, utilities, and a septic system associated with that. Our proposal is to build a duplex. We do meet all of the zoning requirements. However, in the village commercial zone, a special permit is required for a duplex. We have submitted this plan to the health department. They have approved the septic system. We submitted to conservation as well for the vicinity of the pond. There have been minor plan edits from the meeting with conservation, but nothing to the plan itself. Just some of the details and a few labels on the plan. I believe that is all I have. If there were any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Chairman, I just one real quick. Of the two documents that you sent, there's one, the revised 1020, and then one site plan and site plan revised 10. Which is the newer of the two? Is it?
The revised one is the newer one.
Yeah, that's the one up on the screen too.
Okay. Yeah. You know I'm a decrepit old man. I can't see that far.
So, Chair, so there would be just one special permit, and that would be under 175 4.2 for a duplex in village commercial zoning.
Village commercial.
I'm impressed that you got a septic system approved in
I
that
am too.
spot. It's surrounded by water.
Yeah.
It was
I was just noting that.
slightly tricky.
Any of members of the board have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'm going to go to the members of the public. Is there anybody online or in person that would like to speak about 10 Robinson? If so, come up to the microphone or raise your hand on the Zoom app.
There is a letter in there. I don't know if I had a chance to read it from the butter.
I'm not seeing any hands in Zoom.
I don't see any hands in Zoom or in person. We do have a letter that was submitted to us by an abutter that we have received and is in our file. Give it another minute. You're not here for 10 Robinson, are you? 10 Robinson? No. I see nobody online or in person. If nobody else on the board has any questions or comments, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Just to confirm, so Paul, it's just one special permit and it's only for the duplex in village commercial, correct?
Yes. So your special permit criteria, the general ones, section 10.10, so negatives outweigh the positives, all that.
So we have a motion by Bridget to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eric. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve SB 31.
So moved?
We have a motion and a second to approve the special permit for a duplex in the village commercial zone. All in favor?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Just to confirm, motion to approve with conditions or just standard conditions?
Standard conditions.
With standard conditions, correct.
The motion still.
Yes, so moved.
Did you have something you want to say before we vote?
Mike, no.
Did you hear back from conservation?
No, you can ask Paul.
Oh, sorry, Paul, did you hear back from conservation?
I haven't on this,
But we could include a conservation approval in ours.
which that is a standard condition, that we have all local, state, and federal approvals.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
That's 5-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is a remand for special permit 30 for 0 Mansfield Avenue. The owner is Peacern Home Builders LLC. The applicant is Allen and Major Associates, Inc., no relation. The applicant is looking to construct two 36-unit apartment buildings. This applicant was remanded to the planning board by the Bristol County Superior Court. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jack Jacoby. I'm an attorney with offices at 144 Bank Street in Attleboro. I represent the applicant. Nick Reuter from Pacerne is here, and Phil Cordero from Allen and Major is here. I just want to go through a little bit of the history here, because some of you were on the board the last time this was here, and some of you were not. And so I want to make sure that everybody has all of the same information before I bring up our engineer. So at the beginning, can we get the site plan up, Paul? Or?
Sure.
So at the beginning, when we first brought this project in, there were 3 lots. They are known as lots C, D, and E. And they front on Mansfield Avenue. And I'm just waiting for the computer to catch up to us.
It's coming.
At that time, I think it's coming. So at that time, we had 72 units proposed. It was 30 units on C, 30 units on D, and 12 units on Lot E. Lot E is the one that's closest to the corner of Reservoir and Mansfield. And I think we're getting some visuals now. If we can go forward a little, Paul. And
Keep going.
go one more to, that's current conditions. Will do. So we can go one further, Paul. And one further. And one further. Yeah, I think this would be better to see. So originally, we had 3 buildings, and we decided to withdraw Lot E, which you allowed us to withdraw, and reduced it to the two 30-unit buildings. That project got a favorable site plan review vote of 4-3 by this board, but the special permit failed because the vote was 4-3 in favor, which 5 votes were needed in order for it to pass. We also received from the Conservation Commission a notice of intent. We filed an appeal in the Superior Court. We talked with your town council about it, a number of discussions, and it was determined that the best thing to do was to remand this to you for a second view. One of the things that we discussed was that we would keep a number of things that this board found important the last time we were in front of you in place. And so the first thing is that our proposal includes installing a sewer line from the center of town all the way out to this project. That sewer line we have applied to the sewer commissioners for. We're in the process with them of reactivating that. I understand our engineer went back and spoke with them last week, and they're having Weston and Sampson, their review engineers, review the plans for it again. One of the issues, just as an aside, that came up at the last hearing was a question by some of the neighbors as to whether if the sewer line was installed, that they would be required to connect. And the answer is no, they are not required to connect. There's a town bylaw on that, and also I understand a regulation of the Sewer Commission. And the only time you would be required to connect is if your septic system failed. And even then, there is a provision in your bylaw that says that if it's an economic hardship to you, for instance, your house is very far from the street, that you can apply to the sewer commissioners to reinstall your septic system. So just by installing this, it will not cause anyone to have to connect to the sewer. We will put the stubs into the property line so that if you need to in the future, you would be able to connect. The last I knew, this was about a $900,000 item that we would be granting to the town as part of this. We would give the sewer commissioners ownership of the sewer line. That's probably just about all on the sewer. Oh, I know. The sewer commissioners have told us and authorized me to say that adding this line in is in their master plan. They just don't have the funds to do it right now. So they are thankful if this is installed, that they would get to take advantage of it and add it into their system. There was also a great deal of concern with Lot E, which is the right-hand lot there, which goes down to the point of the two roads connecting. There are also wetlands that are on the back end of C and D, wetlands on the two lots to the north that abut up to Reservoir. And one of the things we were asked to do was to consider preserving as much of Lot E as we could and granting it to the town so that it would forever remain undeveloped. Because of the economics of the situation, and especially the cost of putting the sewer line in, we determined that if we could change our plan to have two 36-unit buildings rather than two 30-unit buildings, we would only need a small area for parking on Lot E, and that we could divide the rest of Lot E off and give it to the town. So therefore, we're going to be filing shortly with you a Form A plan, which will first combine lots C, D, and E into one lot, because the building inspector has informed us that having parking on Lot E as an accessory use to Lot D, they have to be combined into one lawful lot. So we will be filing that plan with you shortly. That plan will also divide off all of the rest, almost 75% of Lot E. And our original intention was to grant it to the town. The conservation agent, however, asked us to reconsider that. And his reasoning was that he does not have a budget to take care of it. And if trees fall, that he would not be able to handle that, especially if they fell towards our property or towards the street. So he asked us to consider rather entering into a deed restriction in favor of the town, which would say that the rest of Lot E would forever be undevelopable. So in the event that this board was to grant the special permit, we would work with town council as a condition of the permit to develop that deed restriction. My understanding is that such a deed restriction would be valid for 30 years, and then the town would have the right to renew it for another 30 years beyond that, simply by filing a document in the Registry of Deeds. So we are prepared to do that and to give most of Lot E, in essence, give it to the town, but we would still retain it. We'd still have to pay the taxes on it. We'd still be responsible if trees fell, but it would never be able to be developed. Also, we were asked to make sure that we would extend the sidewalk all the way down past our parking area, all the way down to the corner of Reservoir and to in Mansfield Ave, and that is in our plans. Also, we had challenged the language in your bylaw about the 10% affordability requirement, and town council asked us to agree that we would not challenge that, and so we will not, and we are prepared to have the 10% affordability requirement, so there would be 8 units that would be affordable in accordance with your bylaw. So that's sort of how we got here. We need a special permit for the use because it is multifamily in the village commercial. We also need a special permit for development in the Water Resource Protection District. We also need site plan review from you. So there are three things we need from you. We are also filing next week with the Conservation Commission because in talking to the conservation agent, it was determined that we could not amend our plan that had been approved because it extended onto Lot E. So what we will be doing with the Conservation Commission is asking them to close out our current permit and to issue us a new permit for this as developed. But the buildings are in the same place. We're coming no closer to the wetlands than we were before. We're keeping all of the same buffers that we had before. Also, as I said, we've applied to the Sewer Commission, and I also understand that we need a permit from Mass DOT for our access driveways onto Route 140. So I understand that we would not be able to finish this hearing tonight for a number of reasons. One is that we filed a supplemental traffic report with you. Our traffic engineer was not able to be here tonight, so we would like to bring the traffic engineer to discuss the traffic situation at your next hearing. We also understand that you will have the traffic peer reviewed and that you will have the stormwater issues peer reviewed, and that peer reviewer will respond to both you and the Conservation Commission, if I understand the planner correctly. So with all that having been said, I'm going to sit down and let Phil Cordero come up and take you around the plan, show you exactly what it is we're proposing to build. And then after, I'm sure we'll have some neighbors who will speak. And after that's all over, I will ask you to continue and just ask you for the next appropriate date. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Rob, you start.
He was talking about when the sewer line came in, and you were saying that people won't be required to tie in.
Correct.
That day. Correct. But if they lose
Perhaps
their septic
never.
system, perhaps. But is this any different from like the same arrangement that we have on anything else where the line goes in? And is there a betterment? You see, I'm trying to compare this a little bit to Elm Street
When it's
situation.
privately developed line, it has different rules than if the town puts it in.
So
So if your septic system fails and you can tie in, you should tie in, or you can apply for a waiver from the our sewer if you have really long driveway or something like that. But I mean, if your septic system fails, do you want to put in another septic system? Do you want to tie into sewer? You're still looking at a big bill, but
No, I understand that.
but I don't know if, I'm sure we can dig up the official.
that's how I remember it. That's how I understand it.
Then I
Yeah.
have
That's correct.
One other question. You said that, I was just noticed this letter, you went from 60 to 72 units?
Correct. 2 36-unit buildings rather than 2 30-unit buildings.
Okay. And then how was that done? Are the buildings taller, wide, or, you know,
I'm going to let
the units smaller?
I don't think it's taller. I think they're longer, but I would rather the engineer answer
Okay.
those questions to
I'll
make
hold
sure
that.
we give you the correct information.
Mr. Can I
Good, Tim.
I have two quick ones that I don't think are the engineer. I think they're for you, Mr. Jacoby. So just, you mentioned the affordability, that 8 units would be part of the affordable program and all of the state guidelines that go around that, as opposed to a payment in lieu or something like that is your proposal.
We're proposing to make them affordable in accordance with the procedures set forth in your bylaw.
Yeah. And I know in the past hearings, there was discussion about working with Mass DOT about the light signaling in the center. Is that still something that data is still available for the state to support the state trying to retime that intersection?
I think our traffic engineer would be the better person to answer
Understood.
that. But
Thank
my
you.
memory is that, yes, that they have developed that information and will make it available because why wouldn't we?
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions to Mr. Jacoby? We'll listen to the engineer.
Okay, Phil?
Thank you. For the record, Phil Cordero from Allen and Major Associates, Civil Site Engineers, Principal Office on Main Street in Lakeville. Thank you for bringing up the presentation. I'm happy to walk you through the plans, how they've changed, where we are today. Jack covered a lot of the topics, so I'll do my best to not be overly redundant, and then certainly field questions that the board has this evening, if you could advance. This is just an introduction. Obviously, myself, I'm here with Nick from Discern Home Builders. Next slide, please. Very quickly, and again, Jack covered this, the topics that I wanted to make sure we touched upon was obviously about the special permit, the unit count to 72 units, 2 36-unit buildings, 50-50 in terms of 1 and 2 beds, sidewalk connection to the intersection with Reservoir Street, which is about 1,200 linear feet, and then the sewer force main extension to the Norton Common Library Square, which is about 2,500 linear feet from the site all the way down the road. Next slide, please. These are the existing conditions. Again, Jack very quickly covered them. We have a number of individual lots, C, D, and E, and along with some additional lots on Reservoir Street that were the subject of the prior application, and they'll serve as the basis for this application. Next slide, please. And this is the site plan that was approved by the board under site plan review. Now I'm showing the 2 lots together. They were filed as individual lots, both Lot C and Lot D. The building on the left is Lot C, and obviously the building on the right is Lot D. I don't know if this, there you go, Lot C and Lot D with the dividing line in between. Generally speaking, we have a pretty utilitarian site that was approved. Where you're coming in off of Mansfield Avenue, parking in front of the buildings, having 2 driveways, enough for curb cuts so we can have emergency access, ingress and egress out to the site, as well as dual egress and ingress for passenger vehicles to enter into the property. Next slide, please. And the plan that's proposed and in front of you this evening for the multiple special permits and the updated site plan review is ostensibly the same plan. The buildings increased to 72 units, 36 apiece, and we did that to the members' question by, sorry that you can't see my dot here, here we go, by making the buildings longer along the parallel line with Mansfield Avenue, ensuring that they go no closer to the wetland system that we have here. As we pointed out on the existing conditions plan, and Jack touched upon it, we have a large wetland system on the property. So we have maintained a 25-foot buffer, no-touch buffer, off of that delineated wetland line. And that is not only based on the order of conditions that was issued by the Conservation Commission, but also our intended amendment to that order, or filing of a new order, to make sure that that same work zone remains the same for purposes of environmental protection. This board may recall that during the proceedings of the prior application, there was discussion about preference relative to parking, and the parking area being located closest to the street was born from a conservation preference to remove that away from the wetland resource areas, that provides them a more permanent level of protection than having vehicles directly adjacent to wetland resource area systems. So while the preference in the town would be to have the parking behind the buildings, the preference for the Conservation Commission environmentally was to put them in front of the buildings. And this is ultimately what we landed upon that resulted in the permits under the prior application. So the extension of the project is obviously this area here into Lot E, which is simply an extension of the parking and the detached garages that we have here. I don't know that I mentioned for the 36 units, we have 136 parking spaces, 23 of which are in 3 detached garages, which are amenity-based that can be for rent for the future residents here of these 2 buildings. But in all cases, we exceed the minimum required under the zoning bylaw for parking. On an individual basis, each of the applications as being on Lot C and Lot D meet all of the zoning criteria for open space, building setbacks, et cetera. But obviously our intent, as Jack laid out, is that we're going to consolidate these lots together and refer to them as a single unified project on conclusion of an A&R here with this board. If you could advance to the next slide, please. I apologize. This may be hard to. It's hard for me to see on the screen in front of me, but behind the board, the red shows through a little bit more clearly. What that is, that's a direct overlay of the two site plans, the prior plan and the plan that's in front of you now, in the event that the board wanted to see the specifications of the changes that were made and how the buildings were slid to accommodate the additional length and the 72 units that we're discussing. And then the parking tray essentially by and large remained the same, change for a little bit of reconfiguration for the driveway entry. And that was to ensure we have adequate circulation for fire apparatus to make sure they can come in, do a 3-point hammerhead turnaround to be able to leave the site. And there's no dead ends that exceed 150 feet relative to the NFPA fire code. And that all points of access around the buildings are accessible within 250 feet of a staged fire apparatus vehicle, including access around the building for ladder and on-foot personnel. If you could advance to the next slide, please. A lot of our work was focused on completing the design, which includes the stormwater infrastructure. And what you'll see is that we're proposing a single unified stormwater infiltration basin that will retain all of the stormwater runoff from all of the buildings and the parking surfaces, recharge it to the groundwater. Rather slow infiltration rates out here based on our soil testing, but we do meet all of the stormwater criteria for the Stormwater Management Handbook, the volumetric reduction, total suspended solids treatment, and 100% phosphorus removal, given that we are proposing only surface basin infiltration, which is a proven technology to remove the phosphorus from the water stream. Next slide, please. Very simply, this is our utility plan as submitted to the planning board. Water connections off of Mansfield Street, electric connections, etc. Sewer that would come together into a unified pump station, which then would go, I guess, southerly down the continuation of Route 140 Mansfield Avenue. We did already get initial feedback from the Water and Sewer Department relative to this layout. So the first thing that the board will see on the next turn of the plans coming back in front of you is the Water Department asked us to ensure that this water line was looped on the property. So we have given them that. It's very challenging. That will create a tap off of Mansfield Avenue, come into the site, parallel Mansfield, and go back to add certain redundancy. In the event of a break or a failure, we can also create some isolation valves. So we are working with them to do that, and then working with them on the individual domestic and fire service lines off of each of that, off of the water tap. Next slide, please. What you'll notice on these slides, and these are a series of match line based slides, this is simply our commitment to the extent of the extension of the sewer to depict where it's coming from our site. Through the reservoir intersection, certainly following along the easterly side of Mansfield Avenue on the ball field side of it. And with the next slide advanced, please, you'll show its terminus at Library Square at the Common. So that new line will go in. It is a force main line. So we will have a pump on our property that pushes our sewer down this line. We are leaving stubs, as Jack mentioned, at the intersections that we will cross, and obviously at the property lines for any potential future tie-in, should it be warranted, but as Jack mentioned, not required at this point. Next slide, please. This is a depiction of what the consolidation is going to look like. Ultimately, when we consolidate these lots together, we will be looking at a parcel that's 8.02 acres in land. This will come in front of you as an A&R. It will meet all the frontage requirements, land area, buildability, etc. And on the right side, the shaded area is about 3.39 acres. And that's the preservation of conservation land that, again, Jack also spoke about, that will be retained under our ownership, under Purcell's ownership, but will be deed restricted to prevent future build out, but allows us to maintain the property as necessary for tree falls and the like. So the plan will come in front of you that essentially asks for permission to do this. And we can work with the board on how to simultaneously submit that A&R and incorporate that into the special permit hearing process. So what we will endeavor to do, obviously, on the next turn of plan coming in front of this board is, God bless you. Thank you. Is we will depict the improvements on this consolidated parcel. We will give you the metrics of the improvements relative to this consolidated parcel. The package that's in front of you already isolates them out into lot C, D, and E, so you can see the sum of the parts equals the whole. But we just wanted to let the board know where we would be taking the application plans on the next turn. And then the next steps, again, Jack touched on these. We've already had conversations with the Conservation Commission. First step is our meeting with them next week. We are closing out the open orders of conditions on lots C and D for the prior development. Those have to be completed and closed out with no work having progressed. And then as soon as that's complete, we are filing the new notice of intent for the plans that's in front of this board. We have, again, highlighted no new encroachments into the wetland buffer. We've made sure that our limit of work is by and large the same, except for the fact that the work on Lot E was not permitted prior under conservation, which is what's considered new work, which is why we're doing a new notice of intent. So we're off to go and meet with them next. We will complete our peer review. The town hired Pat Brennan to do the engineering peer review. Pat is very fast and has already issued his review comments. We had a conversation with Pat earlier today. We have a couple of ticky-tacky edits to make to the plans. He asked for one calculation to be cleaned up, and we're going to be resubmitting those back to the board probably within the next week or so, such that I think we'll be well positioned to have the engineering issues resolved before we get to the next meeting. Meet with the Water and Sewer Commission. So the first meeting has already taken place. I sat with them last week. We went through the plans. We laid out what the intent is for the sewer extension. Again, as Jack mentioned, they're turning them over to Weston and Sampson to review, provide some commentary. At this stage, the plans are obviously preliminary. They need to show design intent. They need to be advanced in coordination with the Water and Sewer Commission. But we've asked them to review and give us any feedback in terms of how these plans are relative to what they've already seen. And then the last one on the list is coordinate with MassDOT on an access permit for the driveways and the sewer extension. So we need two permits here. One will be a permit that Purcern Home Builders will enter into for the two driveway curb cuts. So basically the geometry entrance into the site. The second one will be a permit that will actually be entered into on behalf of the town in coordination with the Sewer Commission. And I've spoken with them about this process, and they're prepared to do that. That MassDOT permit is going to be for the installation of the sewer work within the entirety of the right-of-way. We're obviously quite anxious to get both of these permits going, pending approval from this board, as the sewer extension permit can be quite lengthy with MassDOT along a primary roadway like 140. So we'd like to just get going on that as quickly as we can. So all totaled, that's a quick high-level overview. I'm happy to get into all of the engineering details if anybody would like to hear how the sausage is made. Pat Brennan did a terrific job, obviously, on your behalf, sort of forensically unpacking some of our data. I do note for the board, just because of the online portal, we did have an error in the initial drainage report that was submitted. There was some wrong information included. We have since corrected that. So if you do see two drainage reports, the latter one is the correct one, and that's a direct result of communication with Pat to make sure we have the right information up there. It was some of our hydrologic, HydroCAD calculations, so maybe of interest to the board, but we've already captured that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions and get into further detail that anybody may have.
Thank you. I got a few questions right off the bat for you.
Okay.
The initial project, was that also a force main, or was it a gravity main?
It was a force main. It
was a force main
Force main. We've studied the opportunity for gravity, but there are some challenges when we get to depth, when we get closer to the square, to make the gravity system work and make it and keep it financially feasible. We also have, there's a high pressure gas main in front of the ball field that we have to work around, and the best way for us to do that is for it to be a force main. It's much more flexible in terms of its layout.
I was just wondering the cost differential for like a homeowner installing into a force main versus gravity, if there's...
There's no universal rule of thumb. So I can't sort of compare the two, but to tie into the force main, what most homeowners would do, they'd install what's called an E1 pump. They're little package pumps built and marketed solely for residential use. They're very small diameter pipes, and they simply glue together like PVC joints. So the cost can actually be very, very competitive because elevation falls out of the equation. We don't need to dig at certain excavation depths in the event that you have high water table, high rock condition, things of that nature.
Could you just point out where the lift station was on the site plan? I believe you said there's going to be one on the site somewhere.
Certainly. So if Paul could share the utility plan, I'd be happy to point it out.
Should I just go back to the presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sir. And if you could back up just a couple of slides to the utility plan. 2 more, please. So right,
Yeah, right here.
that one right there. So you can obviously zoom in on it, but the pump station for us will be right here on the south side of the second building. And then it'll come out here, and then the sewer line will run along the easterly side of Mansfield Avenue, sir.
In the packet, was there an elevation? How many stories were the buildings? Do we have any elevations? I think we had them before.
I believe you had them before, so they're consistent. We did not resubmit them with this package. 3 stories, 34 and a half feet in height, so underneath the village commercial allowance. But we did not resubmit them here.
So maybe we can get the elevations put in the folder for the next meeting.
I think
Right? We could bring some and resubmit.
No, we like to have it online for people that are reaching out and getting it, from our portals and whatnot. So if we get it into that, that'd be good. It's probably just a matter of transferring it, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, because as Jack mentioned, we'll have a bit of a traffic discussion should the board desire. We'd obviously want to make sure that the prior traffic report gets, brought into the current record by whatever mechanism. We did not resubmit that either, assuming it's already in your record. But we just want to make sure it gets carried forward into this one.
And I don't know how, Paul, this is kind of a juggling question for you. Since the original project, we've got several other developments that we've approved around this intersection. How they all get taken into account is going to start getting challenging.
Well, we'll go ahead and get the same traffic peer reviewer.
Yeah.
Was there a couple years ago, but they should have been, especially with Norton Links having been built, that should be factored into background traffic.
On the deed restriction, I know you said we talked to Conservation Commission. Any talk with the select board at all, if they have anything to weigh in on?
No, we have not done that, and we have not talked with town council. Now, if you would prefer that we donate it, I guess we just want to do whatever the town wants.
And that's what I was getting at. I'm not sure I have a preference, but as long as everybody knows and everyone has a time to weigh in. Tim, did you want?
we can ask the new town manager. Prior guidance that I had gotten from the previous administration would have been that the arrangement being proposed is what they would prefer.
That's what I would
In
prefer,
that-
but I
That's,
still want everyone to have the same information and every board on the same page.
never bad to have updated marching orders from how the
Correct,
town
yes.
manager would like us to handle those things.
Yeah, so if we could get you to send an email to town manager, maybe copy the chair of the select board and notify him what we're doing and
Yes.
communicate
we'll-
that with
we'll
them, that'd
take
be-
care of that tomorrow or Thursday, one or the other. Because frankly, it doesn't matter to us either way. We just want to make sure that we follow through on our word and that we restrict those 3.3 acres forever. And if it's appropriate to do it by a deed restriction and that's what everybody wants, then that's fine. If it's you using that Form A plan to do a conveyance, that's fine too.
Okay. I got a few others for you, just maybe on the site plan, if you want to pull up the best site plan, just a few of the things we always look for. Do we have any like dedicated delivery spots out in front for delivery vehicles, or Is it first come, first serve?
We do not have dedicated delivery spots marked on the site plan. Yes.
It's just something we've been taking into account more and more. We have two 36-unit buildings. These drivers just pull up everywhere and block everyone in. And if we have an opportunity to ask for, if there's one dedicated delivery spot, if it's possible, it's a nice feature, I guess.
Are you, Mr. Chair, are you suggesting delivery spot in the case, like an Uber Eats, a quick
Exactly,
delivery, like
yeah.
those, not a truck?
Amazon won't
Like
do it.
Amazon.
They won't pack, obviously UPS won't, but exactly.
I think we could look at maybe adding a couple of dedicated quick turnover spaces,
I
given
know
that
you
we
said
have
you had a few extra spots.
we have
if it-
extra parking.
And on the same, with parking, is there any EV-ready spots? I know some of the building code's going to dictate what you have to do for EV-ready. I believe you're going to have to.
So we don't have them marked on the site plan. Let me look into what the code would dictate on that.
How about snow storage? I didn't look into it myself, but I'm sure you have it spelled out somewhere.
We do. So we have snow storage. Obviously, the general layout and nature of the site doesn't allow for much snow storage. So we have it on the end cap islands, along the frontage of Mansfield. We do have appropriate notes that we can't block intersections with snows. We have sight lines that we need to maintain. We also have our landscaping in compliance with the zoning bylaw. We want to make sure the landscaping is survivable. All totaled, we have areas designated, areas shown, limited. What we defer to is under the O&M package that was submitted with the the drainage report, is the DEP policy about removal. And we'll have to take it off site, should that be warranted.
I think I got two more quick ones for you. I believe we had talked about on the last one, either between the buildings or in back is dedicated green space and open recreation space for residents. Is that still?
So behind the buildings, but not between them. So if you'd be kind enough on the proposed grading and drainage plan, which is slide 8 on the lower left there, just so that way you can share this with the board. We have our stormwater basin located between the two buildings. So that's necessary for stormwater management, and it needs to be a surface basin given the high water table we have in certain areas of the site. So the open space you'll see is behind building 1. Behind building 2, we simply have a slope because of how close the wetlands encroach behind building 2.
And there's, by my memory, a big retaining wall back there also? Is there a retaining wall somewhere?
There's retaining walls behind building 2. Right? There's a retaining wall. Thank you. Retaining wall here and a retaining wall here. This is transitional slope down, transitional slope. So we do have retaining walls that flank sort of the gable ends of the building, if you will.
So if we go back to that drainage plan, that basin, how deep is that? Do we need guardrails around it or anything? Is it falling in hazard or we can
So,
protect it at all?
any basin that can hold water for an extended period could be a hazard. We did not introduce fencing, because fencing, in our opinion, sometimes becomes an attractive nuisance in terms of how the trash will collect up against it. And we almost want these basins to kind of fit into the greenscape a little bit more. In terms of total depth, it's about 4 feet of standing water when it's at its 100-year capacity in that basin. But then it's designed to drain both into the ground and through the overflow weir towards the wetland area.
I guess my last note that I have is if we can go maybe on this plan, how do we are lining up for the driveways with the properties across the street? I remember before we might have had a alignment issue or some driveways that readily align. I'm mainly looking at headlights pulling out into houses across the street and impeding traffic pulling out at the same time.
So we worked to try to align those and make sure we still had the fire turning radii we needed to come into the site. So the left one aligns with the property line across the street from us. The one on the right aligns with the other driveway.
I think I've gone through all my notes that I can still read. Anybody?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Rob.
I went here, and I believe it's building 1. This corner here, it's north, kind of the northeastern corner. That looks very close to the property line. The building's coming right up to it.
It's 13.6 feet off of the property line in that corner, where the setback would be 10.
10's the requirement. Yep, okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Bridget,
could you just remind me how many parking spots? I'm sorry. I had
I
136.
136.
136,
Okay.
where 126 is required.
Okay, and 23 were in detached garages. There's three of them.
That's correct. So 2 8-bay garages and 1 5-bay garage.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I think I said 20, that's 21. 8 plus 8 plus 5, excuse me, 21.
Thank you.
I apologize for that error. 21 in the garage.
Tim?
If my math is correct, so there's 72 two-bedroom, or 36 two-bedrooms and 36 one-bedrooms, correct? So I'm trying to do, so
Yeah, I
if you
get that.
assume a two-bedroom has 2 cars, then that's 72 plus another 36, then you're at 108, correct? And
Yes.
you're proposing how many?
136.
Okay. So it's,
Yeah, that was the quick math I did too.
yeah, so what you're proposing does comply with zoning, but it is, we'll say, less than 2 spots per unit in total, but people would know that when they sign up for a unit, that you get 1 spot, you get 2 spots, et cetera.
Yes.
Any other members of the board have any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to the public for comments.
Yeah, I do.
Steve?
I got two more technical things, I guess. One you kind of mentioned earlier, which I brought up before about the parking being located in the rear of the buildings instead. That's our zoning code for village commercial in a couple words, particularly the word shall, demands that the parking goes in the back, whether conservation likes it or not. I can read a couple lines of it. I mean, one of them, for objectives to be met, traffic, parking, pedestrian circulation. To the extent feasible, parking areas shall be located to the rear side of the structure. And design of parking areas shall minimize the visual impact from adjacent land uses and public ways. And then another section right below it. The following design guidelines shall be observed. Buildings should be placed close to the road and sidewalk to encourage pedestrian traffic. Parking areas should be placed to the rear of buildings. There's several lines that demand that. Whether we have to have a conversation with conservation, whether it's important to the rest of the board, it does seem like our design guidelines are demanding that.
Well, the only thing let me two up. One is that those are guidelines rather than mandatory, the way I understood the language that you just read. But it was particularly important to the Conservation Commission to protect the wetlands and the buildings being the protection for the wetlands. And that was the strongest thing that we took away from them the last time around. Now, in the event that you wish to perhaps have the planner talk to the conservation agent and get you a memo or something, but I mean, we understand what you're saying, but we don't want to get caught between two boards. But I also understand that protecting the wetlands is extremely important. And it's part of the reason why we're proposing to give you almost all of Lot E is for wetlands protection. So there's always give and take in any one of these plans.
Chair, if I can just
Go ahead, Paul.
add to that. So when we met a couple weeks ago, and I had this very conversation with them and spoke with the conservation director, and also I also spoke with the Conservation Commission chair, who they understood our issue about the design, but they were concerned that putting the parking in the back increased the risk of contamination and pollution into the wetlands. That's why they were. But I could certainly ask the conservation director to draft an email. He was pretty adamant about it. I'm as a planner, I'd love to see the buildings up front and parking in the back, but
I guess if we could get something more than we want it that way, more like why?
yeah,
With all the
Well-
modern stormwater.
right. But they were
What are
concerned
they,
that,
what are they trying to?
they were just concerned that the increased risk of, say, oil dripping from a car, well, assuming now we have gas cars, but
So that would go
fluids
into,
dropping out,
that would go into the parking lot, that would go into storm.
right, but they were concerned that things could still spill off. And then, of course,
Trash maybe.
trash would be
If they had some
another big issue.
specifics,
Those were the two I remember, but I can talk to him and have him, see, I'll ask him if he'll draft up a response. And the chair was also reiterating those concerns.
And my memory also was that trash was probably the biggest issue, trying to keep the trash in the front rather than letting it blow into the wetlands. So I'll let them speak for themselves, but that's my memory from the last time around.
Steve?
I guess my second technical issue, which I didn't think of until earlier in the plan, you said you were gonna put all of this into one lot so that all the parking could be grouped together. Is that correct?
Yes, so we're going to combine C, D, and that little portion of E that we are using for parking into one lot because the building inspector said that in his opinion, you couldn't have the parking as a principal use on Lot E. So therefore, it needs to be combined into one lot. And we just didn't have a chance since we met with him to get the plan prepared and get it to you, but we will shortly.
All right, so there's a technicality here. In our zoning code, you're allowed to build multiple commercial or industrial buildings on a single lot in village commercial, or industrial zoning. You can only build multiple residential buildings in village commercial if it's housing for the elderly. That's in our code. So if you were gonna do that plan hypothetically, you wouldn't be able to attach that house to the same lot as
What we'd
E.
have to do is leave Lot C by itself and combine D and E is what you're saying.
Technically, that's the only way that method would work.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll talk to the building inspector to confirm that that's his understanding, but thank you for pointing that out.
Any other members of the board have any comments? If anyone online in the
Forward to
Zoom
public
app,
comment. Yeah.
who?
Good to move to public comment.
Yes.
If there's anyone on the Zoom app that wants to speak, if you could please raise your hand, and we'll try to alternate between members and people in person and people online. Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak, if you'd like to come up to the microphone, state your name and address, please, and
We do have a hand raised in Zoom just next.
Francis Kearns, 42 Maple Street. I just have a couple of questions. The sewage ejector pump that's going to be on site, is that going to be maintained by the building owner? Or is it going to be maintained by Norton Water and Sewer?
if you just ask us the questions, they'll take them and ask us, and then he'll write them down, he'll get to all the answers
Okay.
when you're done.
So is the sewage pump that's going to be on site going to be taken care of by the town?
I don't believe so, but I'll let him speak to it.
Okay.
No, we can, no, just, please, no. No, I don't want to get into a back and forth. Thank you.
Okay. Is it a single pump or a duplex system? And then the sewer line, who is maintaining the sewer line? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if you want to respond to that, and then we'll go to the next question, which will be on Zoom.
So the sewer line, once we give it to the sewer commission, they will be the ones who would maintain that line, clearly. The pump, whether it's single or a duplex, it's a duplex. And my client will continue to own this as a rental property. It's not a condo, not a homeowners association. So they will be responsible under the operation and maintenance plan for maintaining the pump that's on site.
And any sewer that's on site up to the road would be,
Yes, well, you're always responsible to the
Correct.
beginning of the public way.
correct. Thank you. Looks like Ellen McGrath on the Zoom app, if you'd like to unmute your microphone and state your name and address. And
I have two questions. First, I live
Can we
on,
just get your address, please, Ellen?
okay, 29 Mansfield Ave.
Thank you.
And at the end of my driveway, there's a drain, which is an easement. Water from that drain goes out into the woods, and it's like a river. And it's maintained by the highway department, Massachusetts. And I was wondering what they're going to do about that. Are they going to hook up to the drain and pick up the water that comes in from the drain? That's one question. There's several other drains along Mansfield Ave too, towards the town common. And my other question is the sidewalk. Is the sidewalk going to be placed on the side where the new buildings are going to be, or is the extension across the street, which would go towards the produce barn? I'd like to know where that would be and how long it is. And is there a sidewalk also going down Reservoir Street?
If those are your only two questions for the engineer, I'll ask him to answer those for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very quickly, we are not connecting into any of the drainage on Mansfield. So whatever exists out there will continue to exist. That'll be maintained by DPW. And in terms of the sidewalk location, it's along the frontage of our property until it rounds the corner onto Reservoir. So it does make the turn onto Reservoir, but that's the end of the sidewalk that would be installing.
Did you hear that, Ellen?
Yes. Will there be a sidewalk? I almost think there should be one there because that's a busy area. You have the Reservoir Street cutting into Mansfield Ave. I think would be good to have one, especially if there's a sidewalk on the side of the two buildings.
So yes, they're saying it's going in front of the two new buildings and then rounding the corner at Reservoir.
Yeah, I really think there should be a sidewalk there.
Where?
Across the
Where
street. A crosswalk that goes across the street.
Crosswalk. Gotcha.
Yes, crosswalk. Yep.
That would be a question for Mass Highway, really. I'm not sure on their guidance of random crosswalks across busy roads. I would say it's not a great place for a crosswalk, right? Just think about it offhand. But I'll let the applicant digest that.
Because I think a lot of people will be crossing to the other side where there's a sidewalk that goes to the center of town. That's what I would think.
Do you have any other questions?
Nope.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Am I up next?
You're up next.
Hi, my name's Dave Federici. I live at 42 Mansfield Avenue, the old Pitt Clark house with picket fence in front of it and stuff like that. I'm originally from Mansfield. I'm a Mansfield Hornet. And I love Norton. And I don't want to see Norton turn into Mansfield. Because I can not go through Mansfield and it's just not the same town. I don't want Norton to turn into that. And we put up all kinds of buildings and stuff. Where are you guys from? Where you live?
Can you address your question? No, sir, please address the question to the board, not.
But anyways, this is a great town, and we're going to start knocking it down and everything because it's a nice, tight, small community, and we let things build up and stuff. We're going to start clamming in a little bit, and we're going to lose our personality as Nortonites. And I don't want that. I love this town. I made a lot of good friends here. I'm part of this town. Sewage, park, and all that. I really don't give a crap about all that stuff. Let's keep the town as it is and hold a stronghold here and keep it as. Make a stand. I don't want to turn into like my old hometown of Mansfield. But of course, it's about money or something like that. But If you want to create yourself a lot of havoc and stuff like that, go with these guys. Let's keep it simple and keep it a small community and tight and everything where everybody knows everything. But now we're going to start building up. Then it's going to start looking like Mansfield. Then it's going to start looking like Brockton or something like that. You want that? I know you don't care. Right, that's it.
Ellen, did you have another question? If not, could you please put your hand down so we don't keep noticing it? Thank you. If you could mute yourself, I'd appreciate it. I don't see any other hands raised online, so we'll go back to in person. Mr. Shabbat?
My name is Jim Shabbat. I live at 56 Mansfield Avenue. My first question is one of notice. As I read Chapter 48, Section 11, it talks about 3 or 4 persons of interest, one being the applicant, 2 being the direct abutters, 3 being people directly across the street, and 4 being abutters of abutters if they're within 300 feet.
Jim, you were given a letter.
Well, I've got an email.
Okay. I did send one out, though.
But the question is, according to the plan submitted by the applicant, I would not be in any of those categories. So I don't know who develops this list. I know in time past, it used to be developed by the assessors because the law also specifies that it has to be according to the latest assessor's records. So they would be the ones who would control that. We're talking about different lots. I'm not sure who is a person of interest or who is not a person of interest, or if it'll be changing when you submit the Form A. But that's a minor issue. If more people were noticed than required, that's fine. What does concern me, and not to a great extent, the email I've got says here that I'm an abutter. I'm not, but it says, I'm sure you're aware of this, but you will need to recuse yourself when the application is open, but you're welcome to speak as an abutter from the audience. My concern there is that's an unlawful activity, and it disturbs me that that was sent to me in an email. Not, like I said, not to a great extent. I'm not a stranger to the law. The Ethics Commission has made an advisory recommendation back in 2005, and in 2015, they made an actual ruling on this. It said not only must a public employee abstain from voting when he has a conflict of interest, he may not participate in any official discussion of the matter. Ordinarily, the best course of action is to simply leave the room during the deliberation and vote of the board. So with that in mind, just to clear things up, I'm going to decline. I mean, I never asked for it in the first place, but I'm going to decline that.
I don't think you're a public employee. I think that might be the.
Well, a member of the planning board is a public employee by statute, yes.
Really?
It's not a, but in any case, I'm going to decline whatever happened with this nomination or whatever it was. I mean, I guess I'm honored with the confidence of the selectmen and I guess 2 members of this board, but it's not something I asked for. And I'm going to stick with this. I think this is a little bit more important. As it pertains to probably most of the times I've come here to speak or at town meetings. So just to clear that up.
And just for letting you know, Jim, highlighted in blue is Lot E. You're highlighted in green, so you would be in a butter? I'm just letting you know.
Correct. It's just that the application was not for that lot at this present time. It was the first time around. You can see where it can get a little bit confusing. It is now including Lot E. Okay, we're good though, right? Okay.
Let's not go back and forth. If you have questions, they'll take them down and they can answer them. Thank you.
I've got more statements than questions. I guess the biggest one is that we've got an awful lot of technical things going on here, and they're all important. but they're not important in regards to the board's decision whether to grant or not to grant a special permit. Other than if a permit is granted, then obviously all the technical details have to be right. But as to making a decision whether to grant it or not, the technical details really don't have a whole lot to do with granting a permit.
I don't want to interrupt you, Jim. I'm just going to forget half your statements if we can. We have to ask all these technical questions during.
No, I agree. I agree. I agree with that. I just wanted to make the point that in a deliberative manner, they're not.
The sewer is a pretty big
No,
item in the
I agree with
deliberative
that.
manner.
I guess what I'm saying, in a
Sidewalks
deliberative
of-
manner, all the technical details can be 100% resolved, and the project could still be a bad idea. That was my point. Obviously, if it's going to go forward, then yes, all the technical details have to be correct. My point is, should all the technical details be 100% correct, that doesn't make something a good project.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. As everyone's aware, this project was denied the first time through. We ended up in court and it was remanded. I'm going to try to avoid any specific statements because they're not helpful. In a broad way, though, I'm looking at the findings and decision. In a quick summary of this multi-page document, it says, please sue me. I will help you win, and I will give you a list of things that we're looking for to settle this. That's really what this decision says. If you look in this decision, there are
Just to clarify, you're talking the decision from the original project.
decision written by this board. In this decision is an order of conditions. This is a denial. An order of conditions is not applicable in a denial. I can't think of any reason that that would be included other than to say, these are the things we'd like to talk about. And I don't see that as,
Is it a Conservation Commission order of conditions?
no,
We
this is a
don't-
planning board
just
order
our-
of conditions.
Our conditions.
Yes.
Correct.
There's one statement here I found really interesting, and hopefully we can have a little bit of levity here. It says, one member of the public preferred seeing mixed use at this site as the property is zoned village commercial. Is that how y'all remember that?
I can't remember if one person, two people, or three people wanted it.
I do recall a specific comment to that effect. I do not recall how many people made it.
Okay,
at
but that
point in
comment
time.
was made amongst many, many comments over 6 months with handouts, with plans, and in the decision, it's reduced to one member had a preference. I don't remember it as a preference, just saying. We go further and we find in all of these conditions, records of votes, and all that, we come down to specific findings. A, the project would not be socially and economically desirable. B, the advantages of the project do not outweigh by far any detrimental effects, and that such effects on the neighborhood and environment shall be significantly greater than could be expected from development if the special permit were approved. Now, I know we can only engage on a very limited basis on this because it is the subject of litigation. But that's the part where I maintain this document says, please sue me.
So if I'll stop you there, those are what we're citing, those are specific
Correct.
sentences out of our bylaw.
Correct.
Which we have to find yes or no, basically, on those.
Correct.
So by denying the special permit, we're saying those were the two items that the members that voted negatively, those are the two items that those members cited as their reason for voting negatively.
Correct.
So that's what goes in our decision.
That's what those are.
Correct.
Statements out of the bylaw.
Correct.
If you read, and I'm
If it
sure
was,
you've,
if it was an affirmative decision, it would read,
those would be in the affirmative.
Correct.
Correct. If you read Jack's words, A couple of words he used, which are good words to use when you're filing an appeal. There's two words used, arbitrary and capricious. And if you look at the length of this decision and those two short blurbs as the reason behind the denial, it sure smacks of arbitrary and capricious. It looks like, well, we said no, we don't really know why we said no, it's a no, and thus the basis of a suit. The reason for a remand is because we got it wrong, and now it's time to get it right. Not necessarily, I mean, the easy way is, okay, we all vote for it, everybody's happy except the townspeople, and the lawsuit goes away and it's all fine.
So as far as we're concerned, this is a completely new project.
Okay.
Completely new. We can vote yes or
Okay,
no.
that's-
The previous project vote has nothing to do, and I'll point out, what is it? There's
Okay.
3 new members.
That's encouraging,
It's
thank you.
completely new project. We
Okay.
can take into account, as we
I'm-
have already, what the previous project was, but the votes on that, this is completely new in
Okay.
our eyes.
I'm glad to move on past that.
I'm just not interrupting you, I'm just trying to answer
No,
questions.
no,
So
no, and I appreciate it because it's helping make the conversation a little bit shorter. There's no sense, I guess the only technical term I can think of is beating a dead horse. So the big thing, and Steve has already read from it, it says design in the Village Commercial District. Development within the Village Commercial District should preserve and enhance New England village scale and character. I don't think it's going very far out on a limb to say that 2 large apartment buildings are not in keeping with New England village scale and character. Then it goes on to say, to accomplish this objective, the following design guidelines should be observed. Buildings should be placed close to the road and sidewalk to encourage pedestrian traffic. Parking areas should be placed in the rear. Now, we've had a conversation about the Conservation Commission. I would encourage each of you to go talk to them personally. I did. I went and I saw John Thomas. His concern is not so much about the parking being behind or in front of the buildings, but the scale of the project. If this project is asking, depending on which lots you're looking at, if you're looking at just the actual siting of the project, you're looking at a density increase of tenfold the by right density. You could put 6 or 7 houses there. Instead, we want to do 70 units. If you include Lot E, you're still looking at, on the conservative side, a density increase of 6 times what's permitted. I can't see how 6 times or 10 times can possibly coincide with keeping in scale. To go further, you talk about.
And I'll just stop you there till you get
Yep,
your next point.
that's fine.
They operate, the Conservation Commission operates on the same as this board, so I do not know if the request to put the parking in the front was from John Thomas, or the commission, or peer reviewer, or who it came from.
Right, and that's why I'm encouraging.
That's why I
you-
asked earlier if we can get some.
But
more
I'm
feedback of why.
encouraging you, go talk to the man directly. Have an actual conversation.
It's more the board than the, it's more the board's purview than the director. The director can advise the board.
No, I understand that, but
I understand what you're saying. We're going
as your planner's going to reflect to the public what you people are thinking.
Correct.
John's going to do the same.
We're going to reach out, and I want a better answer than just because.
One of the concerns about the scale, if you look at the plans, and I believe the elevations have remained the same from before. From the street, you're looking at 5 feet. The lot's going to be filled 5 feet above the level of the street. In order to do that, what that does is that gives you additional volume in the detention basins that are needed for the impervious area. right? You take the impervious area, you take the rainfall, you've got to collect it, you've got to store it in a basin. The impervious area gives you the volume you need for the basin. If you don't have a project that is 6 to 10 times the density, you don't need to raise it that far above the street because your volume requirement is quite a bit less. It would seem to me that an increase in density of 2 times what's allowed might be stretching it, but it would be understandable. But 6 to 10 times, this is quite a bit beyond. I've prepared something I was just going to leave with you, and I'll just finish with this. The Norton zoning bylaw requires that the granting authority find the following in order to grant a special permit, section 175-10.10. And I don't think I need to read those. You know the list, right? Okay.
And that's directly what we have to consider when we're making a decision and what we have
Correct.
to cite,
Correct.
either in a yay or nay vote.
So on socially and economically desirable, you could add, the project is located in a village commercial zone already populated by a filling station, hardware store, grocery store, and a package store. The addition of a high-density residential development would bring undue pressure upon the current businesses and hinder development of future businesses in the area. Introducing a high-density residential project in the village commercial zone is going to hurt the development of the rest of the zone. B, this project does not satisfy an existing need. The town of Norton, through its master plan dated October 25th, 2021, has established the need of this as a village commercial district, and the town meeting has seen fit to appropriately zone this as such, and has established specific criteria to facilitate meeting this need specifically, and then I added what's in the bylaw. I mean, this is a planning board. It's not a do what we want board. It's not a do what we think is best board. It's a planning board. We plan. The way we plan is we create a master plan where you get public input for everything. You compile the master plan, and that sets you a direction forward. Where do we want business? Where do we want residential? How do we want to grow the town as it grows out? Following that master plan, it was said that this should be a village area. We need to keep it as such. It needs to be a village area. C, the advantages of the proposal do not outweigh by far any detrimental effects. This project requires that by right density requirements be waived in order to accommodate a contemplated density in excess of 10 times or 6 times if you include the other lot, which would be permitted by right. The subsequent density requires the clear cutting of the area inside the limit of work and subsequent filling of said area in direct conflict of Norton zoning bylaw, section 175-15-6A1, which states, minimize tree, vegetation, and soil removal, minimize the volume of cut, fill, and grade changes, minimize the use of wetlands, steep slopes. It's kind of too bad Ken wasn't here. He has a neighbor with a steep slope with a fence on top of his retaining wall. And floodplains. This, because of the density, requires the fill, requires the detention basins, requires the steep slopes, requires the wall behind the building. It can all be solved by reducing it to a reasonable density, that of similar to by right, but certainly no more than 2 times what's allowable by right. And then last, and I promise I'll go away. D, effects on the neighborhood and environment are significantly greater than could be expected from development if the permit or special permit were denied. The density increases sought present significant detrimental effects which hinder the goals and needs stated by the master plan and zoning bylaw. And I can leave these with you if you have any interest. And I guess that's what I've got to say. Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
If you were us, how would you interpret, this project bringing this much sewer this far up the road at their expense? That's a
Okay.
big plus for the town. How would you?
Off the cuff?
Yeah,
Off the cuff.
just interested.
I
That was off
share
the cuff.
your concern that it's a force main. That connection at Library Square is 16 feet in the ground. This could be a gravity main. I believe that a gravity main would benefit the town because then it could just be extended. There could be more connections made to it. A force main is going to limit the usefulness. You're going to get this project. You're going to get the houses along it. I'm assuming that the force main is going to be sized with that in mind. We're not going to get anything out of it.
I guess these are more questions that the Water and Sewer Commission will
Correct.
can answer. I was just wondering, in the detrimental and the positive effects of the project on the town, that being one of the
No, and
biggest.
that's a valid point.
It's a large consideration.
Yeah.
On our point.
But other than a gravity main, I don't see where there's a benefit of a force main. Because a force main is going to be sized to take the flow of this project, the flow of the existing houses. They might have to add a little bit more, but I guess for sake of the argument, and I was contemplating it actually, if they can put 72 units on 6 acres, surely I can put 15 on my 4 acres. Will there be sewer capacity for me? Not with a force main.
I don't know, that's beyond my paycheck.
Okay. But I'm just thinking, if they can have 72, certainly I could have 15, 18.
I'm
or
sure
something
they
like
have an
that.
answer to this. They don't just arbitrarily pick the size of the pipe and design it, so,
Right.
sure.
Jim, can you just email that file that you're dropping off to Paul so we can include it in the digital record?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Let me just check the Zoom, make sure no one's. Sir?
Good evening. Bill Rotundi, 17 Reservoir Street. Hopefully being part of the Finance Committee doesn't preclude me from talking up here.
It doesn't.
First thing, when this came through 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever, and the traffic study was talked about, the builder had no clue about Norton Links. So are we requiring a new traffic study now that we have 100 and how many
Yes, we are.
apartments?
Because it's a different amount, we are having a different traffic study.
Okay,
They are going to update and it's going to be peer reviewed.
okay, awesome.
And yes, we do try to take into account everything that's approved or in the mix. There's a lot of development going around that intersection. So
Right.
yes, we try to have, I remember a few circumstances where we've asked a developer to reach out to a project that's already been approved but not constructed yet and take that into account
Yep, okay.
as best as possible.
Again, when this first came through, and I know I spoke up via Zoom, we're talking about a 3-story building plus an attic in what is predominantly a 2-story neighborhood. So I don't know how you can argue that this fits in to the character that is around it.
We do struggle sometimes with character of those statements and what's allowed in the zoning, which here is 35 feet, they're at 34 and a half.
It's stretching it. If you're trying to keep it within what's in the area, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. To this argument, parking in the front, parking in the back. And I understand the zoning of the area and the preference is parking in the back. Think of yourself in one of the 7 or 8 houses on Reservoir Street that is going to be behind. And then you have 100 and some odd cars pulling in at night with their lights on. That's not helping the neighborhood at all. Just want you to think about that. When it's in the front, what's across the street? There's one house. One house. Nothing else. So I think you should consider that, as this goes through.
Not speaking for any other member, but neighbors and specifically direct abutter input, we take particularly to note and heart. That's one of the biggest items that I consider is the immediate neighbors. And if they're here, if they're not here, no one speaks, we have to assume that they're okay with it.
Right.
If we have 30 people, all the abutters saying no,
Right.
it's easier sometimes.
But, as an abutter who's going to be looking at the back end of this project, again, 4 stories doesn't fit in. Thank you.
I'm not okay with it.
Still no one else on Zoom, sir? Go ahead.
Duncan McGowan, 60 Mansfield Ave. I don't believe this project is for Norton. I heard talks about heights of building. If you're standing, they're going to bring up grade to road level, and then they're going to go up from there. It's going to be one of the higher points in Norton. As far as the sewer, a forced main, if people are going to tie into it, they're going to be required to have pumps to pump into the main, which are going to have to be maintained and everything. Correct. Mr. Shabbat laid out beautifully what I think a majority of the Norton residents will agree with. It's too much for Norton. I noticed a lot of flat, nice white paper. Really looks nice and flat. I didn't see any relationship to the driveways, the entranceways, to my property, the gas station next to me, to the other driveways on the opposite side of the road. In conjunction, they said they're going to keep all their drainage on their property. The drainage out on Mansfield Ave sucks. There's puddles out there anyway. You got a pipe running through the gas station, from the gas station to the other side. It's probably clogged, if anybody even knows it's there. As far as the hydrology, it's all ledge over there. I talked to the health agent one time, I believe last year. At one point, they couldn't get 4 house lots to perk out there. But yet, this 100-year flood, wait till next spring. The groundwater at the gas station's less than a foot under the asphalt on high water. I see that screwing up a lot of the hydrology of the area. That's the site. Never mind if they're going to get in there, chances are they're going to have to blast or cut for anything they're putting in there, or for the main going in to the center. Now, gas runs on my side, but they had to switch it because they ran into ledge years ago when they were putting it in. These are some of the things I'd like the board to think about for the future in Norton. Now, they're saying they're going to put in a main from there. What about the other projects that are further down the road, like the produce barn and the other properties? Are they going to benefit from this? Who's actually going to benefit from that main? No one is, other than the project itself. Again, I'd like the board to think of this. Mr. Shabbat and Federico here voiced the same concerns as I think many Norton residents do, that it's going to take away from the town of Norton. And you're going to come in and you're going to go, what the hell is that? That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Val Cabral, 50 Mansfield Ave. Sorry, I was not here, but I assure you that I did get a bunch of notes from my husband while I was at dance class. One of the questions that I have on this is I know that I think it was 40 Reservoir had really serious flooding at one point. Like the whole driveway was impassable because of sort of the way that parts of Reservoir in that area had already been developed. I remember them really struggling with that. And so the drainage, I do feel like other people have obviously mentioned, and probably it was already spoken about a bunch, but I would definitely be very concerned about that too. And I missed his name, my neighbor there, does mention the drainage on Mansfield Ave is already bad. I actually went for a walk like up Freeman and back down that way, and it is already really tough. So I do think that the drainage is a really significant part of it that I would like us to consider. The other, this is a practical question, and I don't even know if it's the kind of thing that we can answer. But if this were to go forward, we were to have to all put in sewer. Obviously, there are 4 or 5 of us that have like quarter-mile long driveways. Is there a way for us to estimate the additional cost that like the sewer bills monthly would be for our size houses? Like, is there a tool somewhere that would help inform changing from septic to sewer? Because it's not something I've done on a property. I've always been at either or.
So you missed the first of the article. I don't know if this is going to help of the meeting, sorry. You're not forced to tie into it.
No, I know.
Okay.
So Jim built our house in 2001, I think, or so. And so I think it's probably going to need a new, like, I think the septic will probably fail within the next 15-ish
Wouldn't
years.
jinx yourself.
Huh?
I wouldn't jinx yourself.
Oh, well, I mean, look, my father's in that business. So,
As far as pricing of tying in versus, I have no idea.
okay, I just didn't know if there was like
I would-
an average monthly sewer bill we could look at to know what that impact would be on our monthly.
I would direct you to the Water and Sewer Commissioner and them, and
Okay, but they might be able to do something. And okay, thank you.
I don't know where they meet, Paul. I think they meet, I'm not sure if they do hybrid. I forget at what building they meet at,
Yeah,
but it's not
I can always
it's
look
not
and
at
send
Town
somebody an
Hall. It's
email.
at a
Yeah,
different.
I just wasn't sure if we had that
It's
idea
off,
because I do know that
John
represents
Scott.
a cost.
They're the water building off John Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think to the stormwater point, just for the
I'm going to have the
clarification-
engineer speak to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, but the way that stormwater review for these projects work is that the applicant is required to, I'm going to simplify this language, make the existing conditions no worse than they are already and retain everything on their site. So the idea is that it will not be contributing to anything in excess of what already exists. If it improves it, that would obviously be helpful. And all of those calculations and hydrology and perk tests and all that goes through a peer reviewer that works for the town, not the applicant, because I am not qualified to review hydrologic calculations.
Go ahead.
Jane Rotundi, 17 Reservoir.
You just pull the
So
mic down closer to your mouth.
Jane Rotundi, 17 Reservoir. So I've been opposed to this project ever since. I'm in a butter. A little bit of background, and I'd urge you to vote no on any permit that this project wants. As far as I understand, it's an out-of-state developer. They are here to make money. It's a rental project. If they were putting in condos that people got to own, or if they were putting in homes, that would be more of a neighborhood. I understand fully that it's now village commercial. It was not when we bought our property. We thoroughly vetted it out. We were told it could not be built on. Obviously, that's wrong. But I have several concerns. One of them is water background. We're in one of what's now no longer called the new houses on Reservoir. The property next to us, our house was slated to be level with Reservoir Street. The house next to us took in water during the developing. Therefore, our property was actually built in, not sure if you remember, honey, but 20, 30 truckloads of fill were brought in for our property. Our house was put in. We still have a sump pump. So I'm really concerned about the water in the area. And if we're raising the height of this property, what's it going to do to the existing homes? If you come up past or before the produce barn on rainy days at the bottom of the hill, it's all wet. So what's going to go on with all the homes that are there? The other concern is there are homes in the area. There's no 3-story with a roof, which makes it 4 stories, building anywhere in any neighborhood that I found in Norton. So it's not the look regardless of how it's zoned. And if you're going to leave an open retaining area, the homes behind that are going to be impacted by this, I've been through all of them, they all have bedrooms. They're all family homes. Now we have a place, and I know the name of my street is Reservoir, where kids can access this and drown. So even though aesthetically a fence collects trash, are we concerned about drownings that you're now putting in the area anytime the water collects there? I get adults are supposed to watch the kids, but you're adding in an area, and lots of those 1 and 2 bedrooms, in my opinion, with my background, families will be jamming in there with 2, 3, 4 kids because that's what they can afford, and you're going to have kids in the area. It's a concern. But the elevation, there's nothing like that in Norton when you drive around. That's my concern. I'll continue to come up here. Thank you for volunteering, and please vote this down.
Thank you. I see no one else in person or online. I'd like the applicant to come up, and if you want to address any of the points that you heard, specifically if the engineer,
I
if you
think
want
it's
to.
been a long night.
Oh, we're only just getting started.
Well,
You can stay for the rest that we have going on.
what I would ask is that we continue this to the next meeting. We've taken extensive notes. There are questions that you've asked, there's questions they've asked. We'd like to put together a presentation that responds to what the abutters and neighbors had to say and what you had to say. So I'd ask that we continue this to the next appropriate time.
If you're going to put together some type of presentation like that, if you could specifically call out the properties of the abutters that you heard tonight, I have the list, I'm sure. If you didn't take the addresses, and highlight their properties and show some distances between the buildings and their properties and the screening between them. And if the engineer could explain any hydrology impacts of there now not between all the abutters that were here and spoke.
Those are very high on the list of notes that I've made.
I thought so.
Because, and I don't want to ask Paul to put the thing up because it'll take a while to get it back up, but there is a significant distance to the houses on Reservoir across the property that will not be developed. And so we will review the distances. We will also have the engineer address the hydrology, but as the vice chair said, we are required by law to keep our drainage on our lot, to infiltrate it to the best extent possible, not to starve the wetlands or to inundate the wetlands, and certainly not to make conditions any worse anywhere else. So those are all things, and that's up to the 100-year storm, which, if I remember right, is now something over 8 inches of rain in 24 hours, which is obviously a very significant storm. So
Is December 2nd good for you? December 2nd is our next meeting. Because I believe the meeting.
The first week after Thanksgiving.
Let me just ask the engineer, we will have enough time to be prepared. So yes, so we would like to continue to the 2nd of December, and we'll bring our traffic engineer, and we will also address all of the issues, especially the drainage and views from other places.
Thank you. So unless the board has any other questions right now, the chair would entertain a motion to continue remand special permit 30 for 0 Mansfield Avenue to December 2nd.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is a modification to a special permit and site plan for Old West Main Street LLC, 10 West Main Street, Assessors Map 17, Lot 6. The applicant seeks a determination to proceed with a minor modification to the special permit and site plan. It is SP 18 and SPR 13.
It looks like Richard zooms, Alan.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Rich Riccio from Field Engineering. on behalf of the applicant, Old West Main LLC. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay.
It is. And
All
Rich,
right.
before you get going, I just want to make the board, as long as we're all clear, what we're asking for tonight is to determine this as a minor modification. We'll find this as a minor modification, which
correct.
would allow you to proceed.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you recall, this is the old, we called it the bank site. It was the old site at 10 West Main next to the church, in between the church and the Historic Commission. One of the conditions of approval was before moving forward with the project, we needed to receive a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission. That took some time, some effort, but we did receive a certificate of appropriateness for a reduced scope project, basically proposing reducing the size of the building from 3 stories to 2. The overall footprint of the building was going from about 10,000 square feet to roughly 8,000 square feet. If you look at the screen, and if you recall, the dashed black line was the footprint of the building that we had previously. And then obviously the updated footprint is the solid line. Like I said, we're going from 3 stories to 2 stories with this. We'd be eliminating the underground parking. The first story would still have the 40% commercial space that's required for the top of the shop housing development, and would have there'd be 4 one-bedroom units on the first floor. The second floor would be 2 two-bedroom units and 6 one-bedroom units. So we're reducing the overall number of residential units from 18 to 12. With that reduction, we're also reduced in the number of parking spaces that are required, and we're able to provide 30 spaces on site, which would meet the requirements of the zoning. There's no changes being made to the circulation on site, other than we do not have the drive under garage anymore. So the parking behind the building will be conventional surface parking, and with the parking on the side has remained unchanged. No change to our water, sewer connections, and the drainage remains the same. We aren't increasing or decreasing the impervious coverage on the site. We did add some additional landscaping plantings along the, I guess that'd be the easterly side of the building, between the building and the church, and that was all part of this discussions with the historic district. So basically, the request is that since the scope is a reduction from what was previously approved, that the board would consider this to be a minor modification to the approval, such that we could obtain that and move forward with our MassDOT permitting for the revised curb cut on the site. And that basically summarizes the request. Be happy to take any questions regarding the changes that we've made.
Thank you. Tim?
Just to confirm, Mr. Riccio, there's no, even though you've shrunk the building footprint itself, there's no change to the impervious area that you were going to cover originally, or maybe just like a sliver here and there?
There's a couple minor reductions in it, but we like, if I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Yeah, that's what I was
there was like an
pointing at, yeah.
overlap. There was an overlap over here, and some of the overhangs and such, but virtually it's the same.
Any other members of the board have any questions or comments? If that's a no, I'll go to any members of the public online or in person that would like to speak.
I have a quick question, actually.
Sure, Bridget, while he's
I just have
walking
a
up.
quick question. So the first floor is now split between retail and residential? Is that what I was
Correct.
understanding? Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yep.
Dave Federici, 42 Mansfield Avenue. I used to return the kickoffs against Boston College, UMass, Dick McPherson. I'm glad it got down to 2 stories, because if it was 3 stories, it would look like a friggin' hospital. You know, let's keep it small. Let's keep the town small and unity and stuff. Not to knock you down, but not to build it up. You know, we want to keep it nice, just nice. That's all. 2 stories is good. Go Minutemen.
Thank you.
They have not had much to cheer about this
They
year.
really haven't.
Hi, Peg Dooley, 134 Godfrey. I am a co-chair of the Historic District Commission with Nancy Federici. We have dealt with the developer, Chris Pernock, since February of this past year, and the plans have changed. Fortunately, they brought down the size of the building. They eliminated the parking under the building. Something else that we really, really, really wanted was green space. To be quite frank with you, we had a choice of a certificate of appropriateness, a certificate of non-applicability, and a certificate of hardship. Neither of them was really quite appropriate. Appropriate in this case is in quotes. We felt, and we still feel, that that does not belong there. And I wish Mr. Shabbat was on our team, because such as what he was saying is what our feelings were. We had to continue on because we almost felt as though our hands were tied, because he had started out with the planning board having to do with VCC without coming to us first, even though we had been dealing with Chris Pernock for a couple of years, having to do with the old library, which is phenomenal. If you ever have an opportunity to go into that, it's just wonderful what he did to it. We had been dealing with him, as I said, for 2 years prior to last month, or September, I should say, when this most recent plan came up. And because funds were expended with the planning and the engineering through the months, et cetera, we were under the impression that probably we'd be sued, that the town would be sued, because he, in good faith, I believe, did comply with everything that VCC demanded of him. Certainly not what the historic district would have commanded of him, because we literally do have control over the entire historic district, in particular new construction, never mind additions, new chimneys, color of buildings, zebra stripes, et cetera. Whatever restrictions you could further put on that, I personally would appreciate. It's all cement, it's all not cement, it's all asphalt. There is no greenery space to be shown compared to everything else that's in the historic district. There are loads of front lawns, side lawns, back lawns. He will build a fine building, but it is still too big, and there's too much asphalt, and there's just not enough green space. That being said, we did give him a certificate of appropriateness, with quotes, with many, many conditions, which he will comply with, and he will do well with. But it is still not optimum use of that square footage in the middle of the historic district. Do you have any questions?
Get it? I'd like to address it a little bit.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to address the statement anyways. You know, your sentiment about it not being the appropriate use necessarily.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody else voted this. I voted no on this project because although in this district, top of the shop is allowed, multifamily is not allowed in this district. And there's some wiggle room about how top of the shop can be interpreted as to what residential use is allowed on top, whether the board gets to decide that any sort of residential use can be allowed on top, or whether it's specified specifically by our bylaw. My take is that it's specified by the bylaw. And in this district, multifamily is not allowed. I don't know if that was necessary. I don't think that was the intention when the district was created.
If I'll stop you there, not to interrupt you, just to speak to this point, it was definitely the intention of the board when we created VCC to allow
Right.
residential top of the shop.
Right.
Multifamily. That was definitely the intention.
That is, the intention, obviously, of top of the shop being allowed is that we want units above stores. That's clear. But there is still a specification in our bylaw that says single families, duplexes, and multifamilies are not allowed in this district as a use, regardless of what floor it takes place on.
Respectfully, just, that's not, I mean, we define top of the shop. And this meets that definition of commercial on the first floor and residential above. So there is an element of multifamily, but as we define multifamily, that just means multifamily, just residential as its own use with no commercial.
Under the same logic, we define a residential use above a commercial use. That same logic would mean that they can permit any commercial use, even if it's not allowed in that district, on the bottom floor.
If I'm understanding you correctly, then yes, we allow commercial office.
Even if our bylaw says that that commercial use is not allowed in that district?
I would say at that point, yeah, I don't know, Steve. I mean, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's a logical problem, but
I'm not sure where that comes.
In my way, we would correct the bylaw to say that multifamily can go in this district to fix that going forward, if that's the intention. But I'm reading the bylaw as it is.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question of Steve?
Yes.
Are you saying then, you're talking about, because they're going to put some stores in there, and there'll also be apartments on the first floor?
I'm talking
right?
That the use of multifamily, regardless of floor, is not permitted in the Village Center Core District. We say top of the shop can be in there, and we're interpreting that the planning board gets to decide that any residential use or any commercial use may fit in that building.
Okay.
I think it goes back to what we talked about in the bylaw update that we took to town meeting for, but I think we agree that the language is unclear right now. So I think we have to.
If I'd like to just go a little bit further for the precedent of this. If top of the shop is allowed by right, and we don't define that multifamily is not part of it, somebody can, in wherever top of the shop is allowed, put a store at the bottom and then add as many units to the top as they would like to? By right?
I don't know if they had that freedom, but where I thought you were going was going to be, does the first floor have to be all shops?
That is also part
has
of
to
the
be
question
on
too.
top of the shop versus next to the shop.
It can be, you can have residential on the first floor if it's behind it in less than 50%.
Yeah.
So is this special permit specifically for top of the shop, or is it for commercial? Is it for size? What are we?
We're voting on specifically that the changes from what was approved is minor. That's all we're looking at for this discussion.
I have a question.
Is taking away the top, taking away the underground, the below parking.
It's unrelated.
Is that minor? Is it going to change? How much does it change the site plan? How much does it change the special permit?
Okay.
That's all we're looking at. We're not looking at the special permit criteria. We're not looking at any of that on this.
Okay.
Can I make one?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go away from what you just said and just make one comment to what Ms. Dooley said. I think the order of operations on this project was a little bit convoluted when it came before us. I think I think, Paul, it doesn't help us with this project, but I think if there are other projects that do happen in the historic district, that the applicants will be much more aware of the burden that they have with that body prior to coming to us.
And we have updated our online permitting system for all the applications to say that if you're in the historic district, you need to start filing with them before you file with us.
Yeah. I think having future projects, having like a joint meeting would be helpful to talk about what does the site look like? What does the project look like? What do we want for the district as a whole? And look at all that together. But to your point, yeah, right now we're just looking at this as a modification.
Chris Pernock. So to address some of Peg's points, thank you for the nice compliments about certain things. You know, you're right about the order of events that should happen. And I think that, unfortunately, I think I was the guinea pig with all of the changes that happened. So we follow all the, we like to get all the zoning right to the T, make sure it's all good. No, and I was very much involved with the Historic District Commission throughout the library project. I got them involved with showing renderings of this project. I never knew that I had to go through them until everything was already gone through. And now that's changed. So, and obviously I found out that I had to go through them because at the last meeting, when the project was approved for the bigger building, you stated that I had to get the approval from the Historic District Commission. And I thought that was nothing. That was not a big deal.
And not to interrupt you, we figured that out in the middle of the meeting, right? That
yes.
We didn't know that when we
Thank
started
you.
the meeting, that you
Yes.
had to get their approval.
And I didn't know that, and I thought it was a no big deal because I thought I included you ladies in what was going on, what was going to happen, pictures of the building, and I didn't know that. Now I think if you look at the permitting, you'll see the historic is a checkoff box. Now you have to go through before we get to you guys. So VCC zoning, we complied with every aspect of VCC zoning. The site, we are so minuscule on the site of what we're doing now because of the historic, because of the disagreement with the size of the building. So again, VCC is a great option. I think it's a great part of the zoning code, but it wasn't something that can really even happen in that zone because even like top of the shop, Steve, it's like top of the shop to me it's pretty clear to me that residential above, commercial below. I mean, saying it's multifamily or, that's, I can't say I really see what you're saying because top of the shop's description is residential above and commercial below. So all these things happen with VCC, with historic on my dime. So we find out all these things as we're going through and we thought we corrected it. I mean, we didn't want to lose, financially speaking, the project came way down as far as economically speaking with the project. And, so we agreed, to get this thing done, we got to reduce the size of the building. Now, we have now mostly all 1-bedroom units and 2 2-bedroom units. It's not what we really wanted to do, but that's what we can only fit in this little small building now. And when you talk about the impervious, the pavement, and I mentioned it to Peg before, there's no more pavement on this site than there was there with the bank. There's actually, Rich, maybe you can attribute to this, but I think there's less pavement on the site now than there was with the bank because pavement went all around the building. So
I think my point was just to speak to looking at this as a minor modification. This is a reduction. It's not a change in the impervious. So
no,
that was, I think, my point with that question is looking at it from a classification point.
Yes.
And going back to what you were saying about VCC, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, how many projects have we had under the VCC zoning other than this one?
The library?
You had the library.
Yeah. Not very many.
No, this, and there's another one that's coming.
Yeah, up until this project.
It's starting to come.
Up until this project, we haven't seen
right
at all anything
right.
under VCC.
And at one point to this too, it's not VCC that's making this stuff happen. It's the sewer that was put in. Mm-hmm. This was zoned village commercial before. He could have done this under village commercial. Village commercial wouldn't have mandated first floor. but it's the sewer that's driving all of this.
It is.
And that's the purpose of it in this case is I mean, the sewer went in on West Main to deal with some issues, other issues, but one of the other purposes was to promote economic development. And we did a vision plan for this area and we were trying to enliven it. When we had public meetings on this, people wanted to see more things that they can go to. So this is accomplishing that.
To clarify, I did like the original project.
Okay.
I just see a zoning issue in my thing. I think it's a technicality we need to fix in-house.
Yes, because it's not really fair for people like myself to get in the mix of a tug of war between what, historic district wants to see, what VCC allows. And it's a little bit.
And at your cost, I think we can prevent that going forward. But
Okay, well, that's good.
It was you
No, but
making us learn and adjust our policies and practices and.
Well,
clarify
also I
it.
want the board to see that we try to follow the rules. We try to go through things. We're not trying to take a shortcut and doing something differently. We've acquiesced to the historic because, we want to do the project, something on the project. We really had our hand tied for so long on this now. And so that's why we're asking for a minor modification, because if you approve that, then we can get going DOT right now. We don't have to wait and delay months again, trying to start all over again. So that's the reason we really need the minor modification.
Any other members of the board have any questions?
My question's not really about the modification, so. I guess-
Go ahead.
Okay. My question's not really about the modification. I think it was actually brought up at one of the previous hearings. It says here, new vinyl privacy fence or planted hedgerow along property line, coordinate preferred screening options with Norton Historic District Commission. I know I'm not on that commission, but can I just voice my dislike for vinyl fences?
Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good point, Bridget. So we talked, and there's a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
At the meeting with Peg, there's a bunch of contingencies on the certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
And one of the things we spoke about with Dean Zwicker was the fact that nobody likes a 6-foot-high white vinyl fence.
Yeah.
That's what he thought he wanted on the church side. But we're going to look into different options of maybe, higher picket, because he didn't want people traveling through the church
Right.
parking lot in the back there. So we'll look into different options with the fence, but we'll do that with the Historic District Commission.
Sounds great.
Because we don't like the 6-foot white vinyl fence either. We thought that's what the church wanted, so that's why it was on there. But, there's a lot of conditions on there as far as the materials, the windows and all that stuff that we'll get together with the Historic District Commission and discuss that before.
Thank you.
Do we need to close the public hearing on this?
We'll double check if there's anyone on Zoom, which I don't see anyone raising their hand. Anybody else in public wish to make a comment? Yes, sir.
Getting your steps in today.
I think you did a great job by the library there. I think it all looks good and stuff. I really like it. But, Kansas City Chiefs, New York Jets, Patriots, Atlanta Falcons. 1980 and 82. That's where I'm coming from. Vinyl fences, get rid of that idea. No, Jesus Christ. The car's headlights are gonna be bouncing off the thing and blind people where there's no crosswalks. There's gonna be a lot of traffic around there. But you guys need to make up your mind, create some kind of a baseline of what's gonna go, what's not gonna go, or there's gonna be a lot of, hell's gonna break loose.
There's a lot of development coming in town.
Yeah, well, better make a stand, and there's gonna be a lot of pissed off people. Hate to tell you that. I know Chris Pernock's he's gonna do his best, making everything look good and stuff like that, but next that vinyl fencing,
So
all spray paint it.
Personally, I'll tell you, I struggle, and I think some of us on the board struggle with what's allowed in zoning, what's allowed in the town, but also property owners have rights.
Yeah,
So-
it just looks chintzy. He doesn't want
Well,
that
no, I'm not
anyways.
speaking
It
to
just
the-
looks chintzy.
I'm not
Do you
speaking-
have one?
No, I'm not speaking to a vinyl fence. I already said I don't like it.
No, okay.
I'm saying in general, in development,
Right, I
His
understand
property
that.
owners have rights, the town has rights, the town people
I
have rights.
know about the rights, but he doesn't want to make it look like that anyways.
I'm pretty sure- I
He's
think
done a
he'll-
great job so
he'll-
far.
I think he'll take care of it. He's going to go.
He will.
Bring
I'm
everything
not
in front of
worried
the
about
district commission.
I'm not worried about it, so.
Not either.
But anyways, just do good for the town because that's all we want. All right, thanks. I'll be at the next town meeting too. Sorry for putting up with my crap.
Any other questions from the board? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Steve to close the public hearing for 10 West Main Street. Minor modification to site plan 13 and special permit 18. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any other questions, comments? Anyone want to speak to this, or the chair would entertain a motion?
I'd like to, Paul, you can correct me if this is the right form. I'd like to move to find that this is a minor modification to the approved decision. Does that work,
Second.
Paul?
I think that's.
Second.
We have a motion to find this as a minor modification to the special permit and site plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 6-0.
Did everybody vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of moderating a little too much. I'm sitting back.
Thank you very much, everybody.
So
I'm blocking pause view if I step
Chair,
forward.
Chair, so now that you've made the motion to approve it as a minor modification, the board will need to weigh in on the actual application as an amendment.
Mhm.
You've just agreed that it's a minor, now you want to vote.
So they're going to bring it.
So now and you would do that this evening, correct?
Yes.
So the previous vote is we say it is a minor modification, and now we approve it or not approve it.
Got approve it as we agree it's a minor modification.
Now
We have to approve the modification
As an amendment to the original. Okay.
as an amendment to the original plan, yes.
And with any conditions like a fence, vinyl fence, or
So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the changes to the site plans as
Oh.
specified.
I'll make a motion to approve the modification as presented with the condition that the applicant meet the requirements of the certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
And Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'll write that as just continuing the prior conditions.
With that one added.
Right.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Rich, I forgot you were there.
No, I'm here. Have a good night. Happy
going?
Thanksgiving, everyone. Next week,
Thanks,
I
you
guess.
too.
Thank you.
Bye, Rich.
See you guys later.
Two more.
Next item on the agenda, definitive plan 2, 125 Newland Street. We're going to review the findings and the conditions. This was decided at the last meeting. Paul, do you want to pull up the decision?
Sure.
And you're next if you have anything to set up.
So at your last meeting, you did approve the subdivision plan, or 125. So I've been working with the applicant to draft the certificate of approval. And went over this with him. He didn't really have any changes to this. Just noting that, well, anyway, this is the vote that you all had. It was a unanimous vote. So if, as we go forward tonight, before you leave, we'll need to have you sign this, and we'll need to have the clerk sign the notice of this decision. I just want to point out some of the conditions that we have here. I listed all of the waivers that we gave, and there were 10 waivers to this, particularly around that roadway/driveway. And so we had the vote to approve the waivers as well. For the conditions of approval, in this case, they're going to do a covenant, but you will see the covenant.
Everybody, we do still have a meeting going on. If you can please take your conversations in the hallway. Thank you.
So as with subdivision plans, once this goes out, there's a 20-day appeal period. And after that time, the applicant will come back with the final plan, and we will also do a covenant with it. And in this case, they're going to hold off on both developing both lots until the infrastructure is built. In this case, it's the street and the water and sewer going back. So we're working on that with him, but it's not ready to come to you all until after the 20-day appeal has come and gone. A couple things I just want to point out, that the street acceptance, we talked about that, that we agree that this is a private road and will not be proposed as an accepted town road, which is consistent with the subdivision regs. And the completion of improvements, that at the time when we hear from the highway superintendent that everything's in place and the water and sewer superintendent, then they can come forward to get those, get the lots released. And that's about it. So do you have any questions?
Questions, comments, concerns?
I'm good.
Would you like a vote, Paul, or?
Yes, yes.
Motion to approve the decision is presented.
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve the decision for definitive plan DEF 2 for 125 Newland Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous?
Great, thank you. And I guess I'll put this down with the A&R, so you all can sign it.
Sign it down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That was them.
Last item on our agenda, it's just a discussion for 0 Newcomb Street and a concept for elderly housing with the developer. His name is Rashid. I'm going to butcher your last name. I am sorry.
It's okay. It's Shake. Shake it up.
Got it. I'll remember.
Shake it up. I used to have a TV show called Shake It Up with Shake. So that's how people. But anyway, people do also call me Rich. So if it's easier, just you can call me Rich. So thank you very much for giving me this time. Honestly, we have, while I think Paul is gonna bring in the presentation, but basically we wanted to have this informal conversation to just get an idea that, is it something, you would consider. And because, I agree, no bylaws. I mean, I'm from Shrewsbury, I'm building in Northborough, Hopkinton, different towns, and every town has their own bylaws dilemmas because they're written by people and, nothing is perfect. So, and I served in Shrewsbury before, so I know how that goes. So, but anyway, we are lucky to have, 11.3 acres of upland without any wetland, which is very uncommon in Norton. And we are surrounded by, some residential, and then across the street we have, Red Mill project, which is senior homes. So we looked at different, situations. So I just wanted to kind of quickly, and if I bore you and if you think you already know these things, I can just move on. So I think with this, maybe, Paul, you can go to the next slide, please. So basically, I just want to give you some statistics, lack of better words, as some ideas of what's going on senior population. I mean, you all know, I'm a senior now by this, by this definition, that we are adding 10,000, people into our 65 over, age every day. And, in 2030, we are thinking that, 20% of our population will be 65, even though the 55 will be much higher. And, when people talk about senior homes or senior living or senior, housing, basically we're talking about 50 plus or 55 plus age restricted. And a lot of towns like it, A, because it's a need. It's an absolute need. And B, we have shortage of that. And C, seniors, as we become empty nesters, and me and my wife is here, we have empty nesters now, kids are gone. And, you tend to feel kind of, that's the reason she's with me here, because she said, what am I going to do at home? So you tend to go into an environment where you can, find, right age people with, some amenities and stuff. So these things are becoming very popular. Bear in mind, a lot of senior livings and assisted livings are becoming very unaffordable for people because they have a lot of men. Not everybody needs it. God's blessing, we don't need any help. But would like to have, and many Americans like to have, an area where they can afford and they can still live like in like a community with the similar age people. So, and then the other benefit to the towns is that towns don't have to worry about, the schooling and this and that, because, the kids are gone and now, and, don't have that much traffic issue, don't have that much, school burden. And also, this is the population that many towns want to welcome, because this is the population which actually serve to the towns. And you'll see in most of the boards and services, a lot of people like my age and older are serving, because they, at this point, are done with the kids and they want to give back. So anyway, that being said, this is basically just an idea, and I don't want to repeat and read all that. I mean, I'm sure you can all read all that. Paul, if you could kindly just go quickly. You guys had a long night, so I just want to, move fast forward.
The next slide, Paul.
This is good. This is good. And in the Massachusetts, even though the population growth is slow, but look at this, the population growth of seniors is higher in Massachusetts than other states. I mean, we grew in last 15 years, 60% in our senior population. And we have shortage of senior homes. Unfortunately, we don't have a data on 55 plus, but we had some data on 65 and we brought it. And that's in Bristol County, which is basically our nearby towns, is basically we have 25,000 plus seniors. And, this is taking 65 because 55 data was not available. And so interestingly, there is no, there are few communities, and actually Norton is one of the towns that have 55 plus community, which is just across the street from me, the Red Mill, but they are kind of single family homes type. And, interestingly, they are also in the same district as mine. They are in R80, but and I looked and looked and looked, and thanks to Paul sending me that decision, they basically just have one bylaw in section 4.2, which I'm going to show you, which basically says senior housing, elderly housing is allowed in R80 with special permit, okay? But unfortunately, there's no much detail. And by the way, this is not just in Norton. Other towns have similar issues. Different town, I have colleagues doing senior homes in Leominster. They have different issues. Shrewsbury has different, Northwest different, Westboro has different. Some towns have very, very elaborated, and it's similar situation. Somebody become a guinea pig, and then they come in, they explore, and they provide the information, and that bylaws get developed. But they always start from this. So anyway, Red Mill was approved based on that section 4.2. And then they received several relaxations from Zoning Board of Appeal. Anyway, so I think we can go to the next slide, Paul, please. So Norton, we have about 19,000, 200 population here, 3,000 plus are 65 plus, but of course 55 plus is much more. Understanding is that almost 50% of the homes are owned by 55 plus. So of course these people, they're not going to live always in their homes. They're going to try to find the homes where, it's cheaper for them to live, and it's more comfortable because they can have, the community of their own. So basically the idea here is we are thinking, what if we can develop like an apartment building with like a clubhouse, which have some amenities in the center, and that still keep the rent similar to the 1 and 2 bedroom instead of being I don't know if you looked at the senior livings are like $7,000 to $10,000 a month, whereas like a 2-bedroom would be under 3,000. So idea here is that we will be keeping it at, just basically apartment building type. That way you don't have to pay such a high rent, but you can still afford and you can go and live with other seniors. It will be age restricted. So we are looking to develop an age-restricted apartment building type environment with a clubhouse where there will be some amenities. We can go to the next one, Paul, please. So this gives you just an overall idea of where we are. Certainly, when we go to the next step, we will have a much, much better plan. But this is just, it's pretty close to 495. That's an all good thing. It's across the street from, Red Mill, and it's a very similar, zone area. So, it's a great area for that. And luckily, it's all upland. We can go next, and I'm just going to explain now the zoning applicability. So, if you go to your section, 4.2 for the zoning table, you have housing for elderly is allowed with special permit in R80. Okay. So then the question is, what would be the density? How would you build it and whatnot? But then I looked. I mean, by the way, I'm an engineer, and also I'm a member of Mass ALA because we are developing a senior living in Northborough, 88 units in Northborough, which is only 2 acre. And it's all approved, and we're just breaking ground very soon. I have a really big passion to serve the senior community because, to be honest, I think they are underserved, especially from the housing point of view. So, our hope is to build several of these things, with different amenities in different towns. So we're definitely doing it in Northborough. Hope to do one in Norton. Hope to do one in Hopkinton, stuff like that. So I looked and I said, what could really help us define this thing further? So I also have a lawyer, Paul Haverty, who Paul, and he looked as well. My engineer looked at it, and I think we came up with an idea and we had plan and applicability from your bylaws. So if you could please go to the next one. So basically, first of all, I just want to show you that this is really 11.34 acres, and the idea here is to build, and I'm going to explain why build 6 buildings of like 36 units or so. And by the way, nothing is written in stone. This is just an idea. And why 6 building, I'll explain in a second, taking, which bylaw I'm taking. So basically, this is a clubhouse in the center. And this is a very, very rough, vague idea. At this point, we are absolutely willing to listen and adopt. So the idea is to keep the cost low. Your average unit size will be about 1,000 square feet, and it will be mostly 1 and 2 bedrooms. Because at this level, people are looking for more kind of affordable type situation where they are, and it's not a family environment. The family is developed by the neighborhood. So, so we are looking at about 15% lot coverage if we develop these 6 buildings. So basically, we looked in the town that what are the other things done in the town. So we looked at that, at Mansfield Ave and other places, some other apartment buildings are made under 40B. And, and those are done with some, 24 to 31 units per acre. And a lot of towns are offering special density for senior livings and senior homes because they're encouraging, developers to come in because it's a good commercial activity. It doesn't put burden on the town services, especially schools, and they like that population. So towns are actually offering a special incentive. And many towns are not asking inclusionary housing when you build senior because you're already doing the age restriction. But what we are doing is we are offering a little bit different solution. We are saying, because you don't have detail in your bylaws, they have those details in bylaws like Shrewsbury does, like Leominster does, and Northborough is still struggling. So we saw your section 19, your section, if you could please go to the next slide. Your section 19.1, it's a very interesting section, even though you have some, you know, some things to be improved in the bylaw, but you have a very, you know, you have a very interesting bylaw here that you are actually kind of developing and offering developers a LIP program internally in the town instead of going to the state. You know, you can go to the state and you can have a 40B, and there is, like a 40B, there is a, you know, local initiative program called LIP. So the benefit of LIP is that you're working with the developer upfront before the development instead of going to the 40B route, and you basically, you know, agree and especially start the dialogue start and the application start with the Board of Selectmen. Whereas if you follow section 19, then you basically achieve the same goal locally in the town without going to the state. So you have section 19.1, I don't need to read it, but basically the intent of the section 19.1 is to add some, you know, inclusionary affordable housing, you know, to the mix. If you could please go to the next. So now then you have section 19.5 A and B, and then you could deny that special permit if you do not get that 10% at least 10. Just next section 19.5. Next one, please, Paul. And then now, interestingly, the $1 million question: what's the density? So we you know, Paul Haverty and I, we looked at the entire bylaw, and not once, several times, and we said, okay, section 4.2 give us the applicability, main applicability of building elderly, senior, you know, type homes, apartment buildings, or whatever, you know, senior housing. And then section 19.3, you know, B tell you that, you know, if you do give, section 19.5 give you that if you do build in under section 19, you have to give 10%. Okay, we'll provide 10%. Now we meet that. And then the other two conditions are that this lot should be able to divide in 6 lots, okay? And that's section 19.3A, because you should be able to divide into, you know, 6 lots. Our town planner and we had several discussions, and you guys even, because there's a confusion in there and seemed redundant, and you guys even tried to strike it, but it didn't happen. But okay, luckily, not only we have upland, and I'm going to show you next slide, we actually have, you know, if you really look at the formula, we have 493 square feet, and if you divide that into 80,000 square feet, which is the required lot size in our zone. Even though in our zone, I see many houses built at, you know, like at 20,000 or even less than 20,000 square feet. But the requirement in R80 is 80,000. So I had to take that. So I divided 80,000 onto, you know, 493,000 we have available. So we come up with 6.16. Now, could you please go back? Yeah, go back just one slide. So you see that we do meet A in that regard, that you can divide into 6. And B says that if you have the A, then you could actually build, you know, you could build 6+ units per lot. So it doesn't say minimum, it doesn't, it has minimum, doesn't have maximum. Now, there's one caveat which, you know, our town planner and I have, I'm using town planner for you instead of Paul to avoid the confusion. So basically, we have been going back and forth, but I checked with Paul Haverty today even, and he says that it doesn't require you to divide necessarily that lot, but it should be dividable. So you don't have to divide it, but it's dividable because it says in B, whether on one or more, you know, contiguous parcels. So we don't have to divide it into 6. We don't plan to divide the 11.6 acres into, you know, 6 parcels, but we plan to build like 6 buildings. So this is kind of where we stand.
Can I address it? Are we good? Fine? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, well, I'll start off by just saying, conceptually, I like the idea. Like, it's not, I'm not against the idea. It's in the residential zone, the R80.
R80 is a residential.
We only allow one building per lot in the residential zone. We don't allow multifamily in the R80.
Correct, we do not allow
do
multifamily,
not
but
allow
it's
the
housing
multifamily.
for the elderly.
Yeah.
Housing
By
for
special
elderly
permit.
is a setting, though. It just
Yeah.
means whatever building can be used as housing for the elderly. It's not a building design. Housing for
Yes,
the elderly.
it's a
doesn't-
use, right.
And also, we specify housing for the elderly can have multiple buildings in village commercial and commercial, but not in
Not
the
R80,
residential.
correct.
Under no viable way do I see 6 very large apartment buildings going on a single R80 lot. And even
not
if we
without
went
subdividing it.
even if you subdivided it, and we said multifamilies could go in, and he went for the 30% affordable housing, 3-time density, that'd be 18 units,
Yeah, so
not 200 and something.
okay, so when you do elderly apartments, even though I know you were having this conversation a few minutes ago, it's a very similar conversation you're having now. See, again, it's interpretation, and I'm not a lawyer, but I did talk to a lawyer. So, and I think this discussion could further be discussed between the lawyers. However, when you do apartment building for elderly, you know, you can call it a multifamily, but it is age restricted. So it's called, you know, there are different kinds of senior homes. There are senior homes which are single family homes. There are senior homes which are duplexes. By the way, R80 allow you the duplex as well with special permit. And it also allow you the elderly homes. So senior living, like Red Mill, for example.
Red Mill is in commercial district,
Sir, Red Mill is in 2 districts.
and most of the building is in commercial.
Right. So, yeah, right, it's, most of it's in commercial, some of
The
it's in
building
R80.
is not in R80. Most of the buildings are not in the R80 area. Most of the R80
Right,
is
some of them
conserva-
are, but, right, the great majority of it's
a
commercial.
mix, and by the way, they had a lot of wetland. We have 0 wetland. And most of their land is not usable. And the special permit you gave them, and the relaxation they got is amazing.
I wasn't on the board for that.
Right, but I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'm saying the elderly homes are defined either, even I could come under this bylaw and be looking for like a full-blown assisted living. Because that's the only,
We have a separate setting for long-term care, and we do. I know my bylaw pretty well.
no, long-term care is different than that's nursing home. That's nursing home.
In our bylaw, they're defined in one category and is separate from 55 and older communities. I know my bylaw.
Okay, so you're saying that's, and you don't build that in R80?
I'm saying whatever buildings go there, whatever buildings are allowed to be on your lot, you could use those for senior housing. Senior housing as a setting does not allow you to build anything you want.
Right, but, so you don't see that the section 19.3 will apply?
Oh, it would apply if you were allowed to build multifamily housing there. It would apply to you. But because a law applies to multifamily housing does not mean that you get to build multifamily housing.
See, you calling it multifamily housing, I'm calling it senior housing.
It's senior restricted multifamily housing.
Okay, you can call that way, but that's the reason they call it senior housing. Nobody call it senior age restricted multifamily. See, even the other case where you have, I've seen in other towns as well. Basically, when you are doing, commercial and mix and you're putting something, people don't call it multifamily at that point. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are there multiple families living in there?
Multiple
We
families.
just, yeah, because I think what I'm trying to say is maybe we don't want to harm up on too much on the word multifamily or what we call it. There are multiple families living there. That's a reality.
Could be families, could be singles.
This is the same site that you originally proposed, I think, a 40B to the select board, correct? What was how does the density that you, understanding that you're not locked in anything you put on the page, how does the density that you proposed for the 40B compare to the density you're proposing?
So you have to look at from the number of bedrooms, because those were each
Yeah, just a
4 bedrooms.
roughly, is it on par with what you proposed for a 40B? Is it more? Is it?
Is number of bedrooms are less. By the way, I'm not proposing any solid number right now. I'm here to discuss, and we are happy to work with you. That's the whole idea of LIP and this discussion. So we had proposed 74 units, and each unit was 3 to 4. It was like duplexes.
Right, you had 74 duplexes.
74.
So it's,
There were 36
from the number of
duplexes.
units, it's double the number of units. 74 duplexes times 2 is 150.
Oh,
and
no, I'm sorry, it's
You misspoke. It
36
was 36
duplexes, 36
duplexes.
units, each was a duplex, so a total
So
of
it's-
74 units.
It was 74 units.
So this is
And
more
we'll call
than
it
double.
4 times the 40B number of units?
no, sir, but I'm looking at the bedrooms.
Right, no, but from a number of units perspective, it
A
is,
lot more people living there in the duplex versus.
yeah, no, but from a raw number of, if we say, yes, there'll be fewer people living in an age-restricted 800,000 square foot apartment than there would be in a duplex. I understand that concept, but from a
Those
number
were
of,
2,200 square feet duplexes, 2-story, whereas this will be a
Yeah.
1,000 square foot, 1
yeah, you're going from a family of 4 to 1 or 2 people in a unit. I understand, but it's,
More than double the amount
So
of
there
people.
were,
yeah,
there were 222 bedrooms in that, even if I count 3.
yeah. No,
I got one real important question. Is this do you have sewer to this property? Okay.
yeah.
So I'll go in a different direction. I'm going through with family members right now, this exact scenario. The business across from, I'll call it Roach Brothers Plaza, for a one or two person, not senior housing, I forget what they categorize, is
Assisted
10,000,
living or-
assisted living is 10,000 plus a month. For families, just like you described, someone has a 4-bedroom colonial that there is no place to go right now. I completely agree with your beginning slides. That being said, putting that many buildings and that many houses on that lot, you're gonna pack this room, you're gonna pack another room, you're gonna pack many rooms. I don't see it being digested by the town well. I completely agree, we need to do something about that situation.
To be honest, I think if the bylaw was clear and it was, had something, then we would solve all that problem. And I did provide Paul, the Shrewsbury, Northborough, Westborough, Leominster, they all have it very detailed.
Did you see the discussion we had tonight for the 2 other buildings? And that's on 140, a main road.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we know what the turnout would be. You're gonna get massive
No,
pushback.
that's fair. That's the reason I wanna.
I'm just pointing out things. I'm not saying I'm against it or for it. I'm definitely for some type of housing,
Discuss and hear from you now.
100%.
Then later.
I love these discussions when we do it before as a project.
Because to be honest, so you brought it up, Mr. Vice Chair, you brought it up and I didn't want to even go into that, but reality is I have a little heartburn because I spent months with the Board of Selectmen and they co-signed the application. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to go in circle, I like to go in the move forward. I do believe that this is a great project if we do, age-restricted project, but if you say that build it, homes, then that doesn't solve the problem, sir. They are coming out of the homes.
I'm not saying build homes, I'm saying.
I'm not saying that at all. I agree with the concept of what you have. I just think it violates our code completely. I don't agree that it
A little
passes.
stronger words, sir, because, okay, let's forget about section 19. Let's totally forget about section 19. Let's talk about your town allow elderly housing under 4.2. What is my next step? I couldn't find anything other than, this is my dilemma. Tell me a section to follow and I'll follow.
We agree our bylaws are not clear,
Well,
so that's,
essentially, the elderly housing
Yeah.
thing would be
We tried to
if you
fix
were
that.
making like a cluster development, you could define the entire cluster development as the elderly housing. They'd be individual homes. If you built a bunch of duplexes or a subdivision, those could all be zoned elderly housing. If you were in a district that you could build multifamilies, you could make them. But the building type is described by the district. Like,
Yeah, that's a level of semantics that I think I would need to noodle on. I think my big takeaway is that even in pencil, this density feels like, to what Ellen you said, like
Scary.
yeah, that feels a little scary. So from an informal conversation perspective, I don't see that being something conceptually that I would support as a board member. I think it would be I think I would need to see something. Does it need to be townhouses? No. Does it need to be, I don't know what return calculations you're going to try to run on the property. If you're looking at, if you could develop, 8 lots by right as single family, I don't see, and if you do duplexes, we'll say there's 20, 6, but I don't see anything above, I think anything above 100 is a no-go in my eyes, and even something above 50 feels like I'd want to see it. Just to put numbers on a dartboard here, not saying that I'm supporting anything in any way, shape, or form, but from a what can you do by right versus what you're proposing as the permit, that's where we try to
But what
figure
bylaw
that
do we
out.
use? That's my question. If let's put section 19 totally out, because this was our creative way of thinking about it.
Yeah, but if you look at what is your base by right would be less than 10 single family homes. Let's assume that you could do
6 single family homes, I think. Is
let's assume that you could do duplexes on each of those lots. So let's be generous and say that's 20 units. I think anything above 5x that feels like you're going to pack the rooms. Anything more than 2.5 times that feels,
Even at 50, it's going to be a big.
right. But
to
you
do.
could contrast it with a 40B, and you could
100%.
have that discussion and say this takes this off of a 40B table.
The amount of affordable units that you're going to be able to push is going to be big.
But that's where I would sit right now. I mean, and then you could wait 5 years and see Norton dip under 10% and for 40Bs and.
No, but I mean, to be honest, sooner or later, you're gonna need to do, because you guys are at almost,
Oh, I know.
We know that.
You're a planning board and you need to plan. So you're gonna have to entertain, and I'm already there, right? So another option, another thought I have is that I designed 74 units. We had done the entire design with drainage, with you name it, everything. So if we age restrict that, and it's already approved lip, okay? If we age restrict it, would that work?
How many units did you say?
70 something. I don't know. I didn't look at that plan in detail.
The 40B plan?
I think that's what he's.
Lip plan.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've looked at it in detail, but
If it's not under a 40B, we don't have the options to approve that, do we?
he would be trying to put it forward under what the plan he's discussed this evening, which I know you've raised your concerns about from a bylaw perspective.
I mean, it's the 30% thing where we can forgive setbacks and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's.
But there's still.
It's tough. Yeah.
I mean, do you want me to next time bring that plan and discuss it?
What about the plan that you're doing in Northborough? What are you doing there? Well, you said you had a different development you're doing.
That's 88 units.
Yeah.
But those are, that's only 2-acre land. And it's right on the street.
Completely different.
This is 11 acre, and the problem is that I have to build 657 feet of road to even get in. So there's a lot of, and then also the town has very restrictive way, especially the sewer and water, that you have to do a loop on
Water loop.
sewer. It is very expensive, and it's going to be forced me.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Don't.
I don't know if there's
I'm not sure we have any.
More to
I'm not
give
sure we
here.
have any great guidance for you, other than we think that, and I don't want to speak for anyone, we think that's a lot of units for that area. And for this town.
So let me just decipher, I know it's late, let me just decipher 2-3 questions quickly. Okay, if we reduce the density and because I have to just get a direction that do we go with duplex style, or do I go with the apartment building style?
I would fit it into the area that's there now, as much
There's
as
both.
possible.
East Main with a big apartment building and Red Mill with townhouses.
Yeah.
So
He's a little ways from Red Mill. I didn't feel like it was right across the street.
Again,
So they're newcomers,
The-
and I have the easement to the newcomer.
Yeah.
my thoughts is,
My neighbor.
how does he build an apartment though? Like,
that's
my I don't.
Yeah, I'll say that's a level of semantics I'm not prepared to
Because if
think on.
multifamily was allowed in your district, then you could just divide it into 6 lots and build 6 multifamilies.
No, but, okay, so even if it's not divided, we stick with 1 lot. When you say elderly housing, I know you take multifamily, and I heard your other discussion too. Elderly housing, even when it's built like the way I'm doing 88 units in Northborough, nobody call it multifamily, because that's called elderly housing. I know you calling it multifamily.
The reason I asked that question before is I wanted to clarify it, not use up meeting time hanging up over the word. I think we all do know what the property is and isn't, so whatever we call it. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the question. Would you guys be supportive if we bring a number down, and do we be, honestly, if I see most of the neighborhood is either duplex, single family on a smaller lots. Like they are, I don't know how you guys allow them, or they're predated. They don't look that predated, but they're mostly, 18.
Yeah, your neighborhood is 18,000. The neighborhood you're in is 18,000 square foot lots mostly.
But now the bylaw says 80,000.
They were built before the bylaw.
So one discussion could be, could I ask for that relaxation and build smaller homes?
You would have to talk to zoning, I believe, to ask to go down to 18,000 to match the neighborhood. 18,000 is our general size requirement for village commercial zoning. It's common, but it's not the district you're in.
Well, and you would have to seek a hardship for that, which I don't know what the hardship would be, or go through a LIP or a 40B. That would allow.
11 acres divided by 18,000 would give you 26 and change.
And even if you did 30%,
Then
the 3 times that.
I'm okay if we want to do like 50 or so duplex.
Yeah, yeah, we'd have to see it again. And by the time you would have anything ready, you would be.
There's no way
You'd probably be looking at.
Right now,
Yeah.
just bring,
Yeah.
I can bring any, we already have a lot of information, just gotta chop it.
Yeah,
there wouldn't be any aspect of this that would involve a nursing home, right?
No, not so.
Okay.
It's
No, but then it becomes too
purely,
expensive.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's purely in the gap before assisted living.
Right.
So it's, yeah,
And many towns are doing it.
Yeah.
They call it senior living.
Sure.
yeah. So, yeah, it's
Again, even when I think something's a good idea, I'm just bound by rules.
yeah.
Yeah, we knew that the bylaw is not very explicit, it's not very clear. It says in 4.2, it allows it, but how, I don't know.
Well, again, my interpretation would be that if somebody owned a building anywhere, they could apply for a special permit to turn it into senior housing. That doesn't mean they're building a new building or anything. Senior housing itself is just a legal thing. There is no.
The whole idea of senior housing is that they are smaller, they are more affordable, they are more manageable. I see what you're saying. If you go back and build only single family and duplex, which is allowed by use there, if I take that, then elderly housing idea goes away.
Well,
Totally goes away.
for instance, we were not to get into a long thing, we were just trying to update our zoning bylaw. And one of the aspects we were going to include was the new definition, senior housing facility. And senior housing facility would have included potentially long-term care aspects or multiple buildings. And we had a whole bunch of standards to define how to do it. That failed at town meeting. So we don't have that set of rules. We didn't have that change.
But you guys did support Red Mill.
I didn't. I wasn't there. I was not on the board.
The planning department.
Sure, but that's also, it's on the commercial zoning. They have smaller requirements. Their density could have met different because they only need 18,000 feet each. And, you know, in the commercial zone, housing for the elderly allows multiple buildings.
And RAD both. That's what it says. I read that the first two lines it says RAD and commercial.
Yeah, which commercial doesn't even allow multifamily, which
Yeah,
I know there's
it
some
doesn't allow
multifamily, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't
We had
approve
more
it.
clarity, we had more clarity with the
It's-
updated bylaw.
It's a lot of
but we-
housing on a commercial zone.
We can't speak to
Yeah.
that, that's the tough part.
I gave that to him because that's the only example of senior housing that I was aware of.
Right, and to be honest, I passed Red Mill. I've grown up in town my whole life. Red Mill was built when I remember before it was a field. I used to play there. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful building. It's a lower site, whatever. It's lovely. I'm not trying to prevent that from coming to town. You just happen to have a lot that's in the R80. I don't.
I do think the duplexes have a better chance.
Duplexes have a better chance because it's allowed.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. And then I'm not, Alan was not exaggerating when he said that fill up 2 rooms. Especially. in
We're
this
aware
particular-
because we filled this one up with the 40B.
So I think.
And they're not
I
nice.
agree with, I think this is a good learning. Maybe we will go with the duplex route because that's allowed.
Yeah.
Over there. And maybe we just reduce the density and maybe we'll ask, 18,000 square feet instead of 80,000 square feet. We'll ask that relaxation. It means I gotta go back to ZBA to ask that.
Possibly. Again, I'm
sorry.
You'd want to talk to Paul Haverty about that because they have to have a justification for a variance. And typically that's based on your topography, wetlands, which you're high and dry. That's typically what a variance is natural conditions don't allow you to develop it. This is more of a this is a regulatory restriction.
Yeah, it's a necking of it's a necking of it.
If this was to be developed, are you pursuing that 30% affordable housing for the increased density? You can do 3 times the density if you do 30% affordable housing. And given 30% would be a nice tick to our box.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the only thing is that I will have nothing to build on.
Yeah.
I know, I agree with you. There has to be a win-win, right?
Sure.
No, I agree with
There has to
that.
be a way.
There has to be a win.
That was the whole idea. No, I appreciate it, and I understand what you're saying. But if we have to provide 30% and only build, let's say, 36 units, it will basically, and I don't know if you know, the price in the market for those type of units, even in duplex, is like Red Mill is selling at 700,000, whereas the affordable is 180,000. So I have to really, I'd rather not just develop it.
Right.
I'll wait for 40B.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, all right, well, gentlemen, and thank you, and a dear lady. So thank you very much, appreciate it. I think I've got to talk to Paul and see where we go from here. I'm really thinking that we probably will go with the duplex approach and see if we can get the 18,000 square foot, relaxation. That comes from the ZBA, not from you guys, right?
Yeah.
Unless it was a cluster or something, and I don't think that you're looking to propose that.
Well, no,
with-
the planning board does do the 30%, don't we? Does that come from us? He needs the 18.
30% is through the affordable housing.
Right, but that's because of us.
The lot size.
Cluster,
But the lot size is through
I
zoning.
don't,
Yeah.
Right.
But
I'm not sure how
looking
they
to
would be
carve out
able
open
to.
space, so it doesn't work.
right, he doesn't have enough
No.
for all of that.
So it doesn't make sense.
And
So yeah, it'd have to go
Yeah,
through somebody else.
and I think the minimum even for a cluster for single family is 10 acres.
10 acres for single.
I think 15 for duplex.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's-
you have it for single family.
But that wouldn't do
No.
what you, yeah, that
20
12,
for
12 single
multifamily.
families is not gonna do it, yeah.
Is the duplex back to being his best option?
But we'll see, yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to, the first, ZBA is probably the first cutout, but yeah, you can talk to his representation and see.
I
what
don't
he
know
says.
how they find it.
Yeah.
Fine for the variance. I don't,
That's the first step, though.
yeah. To reduce that lot size, I'm not sure how they would hurdle that, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a final thing, I just want to say, I appreciate how you approached us.
Yeah, not a lot of people come in and talk to us first. That's great.
Yes.
Oh,
No, it's awesome.
Honestly, we thought, Paul and I thought that the section 19 does apply. And I will talk to Paul and see if the lawyers can talk with your general counsel as well. But we'll see. I understand what you're saying, and we can definitely, nothing I propose you is written on stone.
Yeah.
It's just a discussion. And I'm just saying that, you know, with comparing with 40B, what would be the density?
No, I get what you're saying. It's got to be good for town, and you have to make money.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
That's everything on our agenda, but we got one more thing we got to take care of quick is some more meeting dates. We have December for December 2nd, December 16th, if we can look to January.
Dentist appointment? Okay. Gotta get ready for that. Noon apparently.
2 weeks would bring us to January 6th.
That'd be 3 weeks, but close
3
enough.
week, yeah.
Yeah, didn't we talk about that date already?
We don't want a third meeting in December.
No.
January 6th or, and January 20th.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Good for now. January
Those work
6th,
for me, for now, yeah.
6th and the 20th.
the 6th and the 20th. And how about February?
And
February is
10 and 24.
10 and 24.
the week
Do we
of
know
the
what school vac-
16th is the school vacation week.
Vacation.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
So
showing up as
24.
presidents.
Oh, I
presidents.
have it all up in different tabs. I've looked all those up.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much.
I will say, if you have, let's see,
My birthday's on the
I know we've
Friday.
generally worked around April vacations.
Yep.
If it's the week if it's the 20 whatever
why I
of
was like that.
February, I would not be able to attend. Not that I am the end all be all.
Which dates? I'm sorry.
Can't meet without you, man.
Well, how about, let's start with February 3rd.
Okay.
How's that look for
Oh.
everybody?
No objection.
Oh, yeah, that is 2
No,
weeks.
the 3rd, not 20, the 3rd. First week in February.
No.
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds good.
The 6th, 20th, Feb. 3rd.
And then we generally don't do 2 weeks in a row. The week of the 16th, we're saying is school vacation.
24.
Following week, we do have Tim on vacation.
No, I'm at a work conference. It's worse.
Like I said, you're on
That's
vacation.
even better.
In other words, you'd like us to call you back for a planning board meeting?
No.
Okay.
You're not going to call from the airport again?
I did that once.
You did.
So we either have to stick with the 10th or the 24th.
It does.
24th.
We 24th.
Right,
Yeah.
Tim, we'll pencil in 24th, but we'll cancel. We'll try not to load that one, and we'll cancel if we know we don't have a member.
Yeah.
So that's the
hope-
10th and the 24th?
3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3rd and the
Yep.
3rd. and-
offering for the second meeting.
Yeah, and the 24th.
So I have us putting down Jan 6th, Jan 20, February 3rd, February 24th. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Do you want to do March too while we're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I say take it to
Sure.
April.
So the second week in March, I'm definitely away.
Which way? Hold on.
That'd be the 10th.
I actually went the wrong
The,
way. on
the
my
week of
calendar.
the 10th, I'm not here,
You're not here. Okay.
So St. Patrick's Day and the 31st?
I'm busy on St. Patrick's Day,
which is what day?
Yes, you're here. on
March
St. Patrick's Day.
17th.
You live in Massachusetts and don't know when St. Patrick's Day
I
is,
don't, I
dude?
don't drink, so I'm safe.
Yep, me too.
I have a dinner to make, actually. Thank you very much.
Are we saying I mean, we could do the
Definitely don't want to do back-to-back.
We can do it.
So what did we do in March? What was the first one?
We haven't.
We haven't done any yet.
Oh.
March 3rd would be doing back-to-back, which we don't want to do. The 10th, I'm definitely not here, but if you guys want to take it, if Tim wants to take it, that's fine, that's what we have to do. Or we can just pencil in one for now, the 17th, and see how it goes.
We can actually pencil it in.
Huh?
We can pencil it
Pencil in the 17th?
Very lately.
in very lately, but
17th and 31st. Are we doing that?
17th and 31st, and if everyone's not here, we just continue. So those are the dates, Paul, but if February 24th and March 17th, if we can't load those and we can't make those happen, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we, let's see.
Should you
Are,
do April as well, since those are the elections?
I would maybe hold off if we can.
Hold off on April.
say,
When's
do
the
we have-
election? When's the?
I was gonna say, do we need to now have another joint session with the select?
I was
board
just
scheduled?
I was gonna ask that.
Yes.
Since Mr. Shabbat submitted a request to be appointed to the vacancy of the planning board, was appointed and is now declining to.
I will start
be
that
sworn in.
discussion tomorrow morning.
Yes, so.
I'll let town manager know.
Oh, I might.
And just in case anyone doesn't know, I think everyone does. Annual town election is on Saturday, April 11th, from 8 to 4.
Yeah, so we're only gonna have one April meeting with this board. So actually, it maybe makes sense, does make sense to schedule it. It's only one more meeting.
I don't know if that affects anything. Yeah.
Well, if we're going to meet on the March 31st, then we could do pencil in April 7th,
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be worth doing on the 7th.
Yeah.
just to have it in
Even
there.
if it's back to back, but maybe we can try to
We
keep
have a
that
couple
one
of
late.
breaks.
Did you just say you had an issue down there?
We keep them all in, yeah.
April 7th, I think, looks good.
Yes, April 7th, Tuesday.
And that brings us to the election.
Yeah.
Okay. Then when we get closer, we can set the other.
I believe that concludes all the business in front of this board tonight. Unless somebody else has anything, the chair would entertain a motion.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in
That was
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Night. Thank you, everybody.